Namaskaram. You're most welcome. Japan isn't building a train line in India. They are constructing a multi-billion-dollar fortress against a regional rival. While the world sees high-speed rail, Tokyo is actually engineering a strategic geopolitical hedge to reshape the global balance of power. Is this an infrastructure project or a calculated soft power play for dominance? Let's go and explore this further. It is being called a flagship project. It is one of the most ambitious engineering feat in the history of Indian subcontinent. It's 508 kilometers high-speed rail line tearing through the landscape of Western India at a speed of 320 kilometers per hour. But if you look past the headlines about the faster commute and fancy trains, you'll find something much deeper. You'll see Japan isn't just building a train in India. They are betting billions, tens of billions on a geopolitical future that defines the 21st century. Why would Tokyo, a nation defined by its own perfectionist engineering, pour such massive capital into a foreign rail corridor? Is it just business or is it a strategic move to reshape the Indo Pacific? Today, we are going behind the scene of the Mumbai Ahmedabad High Speed Rail or MAHSR to understand why this isn't just a train, it's a geopolitical chess move. First, let's look at the sheer scale of the project. The Mumbai Ahmedabad High Speed Rail isn't just a railway line, it's an engineering marvel being built with Japanese Shinkansen technology. We're talking about a 508 kilometers of track, mostly elevated, cutting through Maharashtra, Gujarat, and the Union Territory of Dadar and Nagar Haveli. This project is the first of its kind in India to use the full span launching method for bridge construction, a technique that is significantly speed up the progress. And the challenges, what are the challenges? They are immense. From India's first ever undersea rail train to earthquake detection system, this is a masterclass in technology transfer. Japan didn't just sell the tech, they are training the workforce, setting the operational standards, and helping build the High Speed Rail Training Institute in Vadodara. It's a full package commitment. Now, why the obsession with this specific project? You have to look at the map. In the current geopolitical climate, the Indian-Japanese partnership is one of the most critical relationship in Asia. Both nations are committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific. Japan's foreign policy is shifting. By anchoring their economic power in India, the world's most populous nation, Japan is creating a counterweight to the regional assertiveness in Asia. This is about building a resilient, rule based regional framework. When Prime Minister Takahashi and Prime Minister Modi label this as the flagship project, they aren't just talking about a train, they are signaling to the world that India and Japan are locked into a long term, deep, and unbreakable strategic alignment. It's not just about security. There is a massive economic incentive. Japan is looking to diversify its supply chains and find new massive markets for its expertise. India's Make in India initiative is a perfect playground for this. Japanese firms aren't just selling trains, they are entering a market that is hungry for infrastructure. During recent summit, the two nations set a goal to attract 10 trillion yen, that is roughly $68 billion dollars, in Japanese private investment in India over the next decade. This rail project acts as the signboard. If Japan can successfully build a bullet train system in India, they prove they can build anything in the world's most challenging market. The investment goes even further. Japan is heavily involved in northeastern region of India, supporting road networks, bridges, and disaster risk reduction. This is crucial for India, which is like a Act East policy, and it creates an industrial value chain connecting India directly to regional partners like BIMSTEC. This is a holistic approach. Japan is betting on India's future not just transportation, but in AI, defense technology, clean energy, etc. It is a 360-degree partnership. They are creating a relationship where their economies are so intertwined that success for one is inherent tied to the success of the other. So, is Japan secretly investing? Maybe the word secret is too dramatic. It's more that the strategic intent is often overshadowed by the sheer scale of the construction. This is a massive multi decade bet on the rise of India as a global economic powerhouse. By investing billions today, Japan is securing a partner for tomorrow. The Shangsen in India is more than a transit solution. It is the track upon which the future of Indo Pacific is being laid down. So, friends, thanks for watching and stay tuned as we continue to track how these massive infrastructure projects are rewriting the global order. See you in the next one. हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कार। आप सबका स्वागत है। आज तो बृहस्पतिवार है और आज तारीख क्या है? आज 18 तारीख है मेरे ख्याल से। तो आज बृहस्पतिवार को तो का जो दिन होता है, आप सबको पता है, वो भगवान विष्णु के लिए समर्पित होता है। तो आज हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे भगवान विष्णु की स्तुति करके, पूजा करके, एक मंत्र का उच्चारण करेंगे। आप हमारे साथ इसको हमारे साथ जुड़िए और इस हमारे साथ ही इस मंत्र का उच्चारण करिए। ठीक है? तो आपको जैसे पता है कि मैं इस काउंटर का इस्तेमाल करता हूँ, जिससे हमें सहूलियत होती है। सिर्फ 11 दफ़ा करना है, बहुत जल्दी हो जाएगा। इससे भगवान का भी नमन हो जाता है और आपका दिन भी अच्छा निकलता है। चलिए हाथ जोड़ लीजिए। एक छोटा सा मंत्र हम भगवान विष्णु को समर्पित करते हुए, याद करते हुए, पूजा करते हुए हम करेंगे। तो चलिए हम शुरू करते हैं। ओम नमो भगवतु वासुदेवाय नमः। ओम नमो भगवते 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 वासुदेवाय नमः। तो हमारी पूजा संपन्न हुई, हम अपना दिन शुरू कर सकते हैं। हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपका दिन शुभ हो। जल्दी मिलता हूँ दूसरे वीडियो में। Friends, Namaskaram, you are most welcome. Let me ask you, is your temper costing you more than just professional reputation? In the high stake world of C suite, emotional control isn't just a soft skill, it is a critical business strategy. In this episode, we dive deep into the ancient wisdom and we will take help from Bhagavad Gita to uncover why anger is the single greatest liability to the executive decision making. Let's go. We often talk about competitive advantages in business. We talk about market share, supply chain, optimization, AI integration, and capital allocation. But today, I want to talk about your biggest liability. It is not your competitor, it is not the economy, it is not a supply chain disruption. It is something that lives inside most of the critical asset of your company, that is the CEO's mind. I'm talking about anger. And before you dismiss this just as a human nature or passion, I want you to understand that in a high stake world of C suite, anger is not a leadership trait. It is a system failure. It is a silent killer of the empires, startups, and legacies. Today, we are going to break down the science of why this happens using the timeless framework from Bhagavad Gita mentioned in chapter 2, verse 63, to understand why emotional control is the ultimate executive strategy. Now, let's look at the wisdom from the Gita, and the quote starts: Anger compound delusion. Delusion leads to loss of memory, which in turn destroys the power of discrimination. Loss of discrimination means loss of self and feeling to the material consciousness again. And the quote close. Let us now translate this into modern leadership language. The verse describes a specific sequential, chemical, and the psychological chain reaction. Anger compounds delusion. When you get angry, you stop seeing the world as it is, and start seeing it as a fear it to be. You create a false reality. Next is loss of memory. This is critical for a CEO. When you are angry, your mind shuts off access to your database, your experience, your past failures, your previous lessons, your long term strategy. You lose access to the very data you need to make the most appropriate and the right decision. Next is loss of discrimination. Discrimination here doesn't mean bias, it means discriminate, ability to tell the difference between a minor setback and a company ending crisis. Next is loss of self. You cease to be a leader you intend to be. You become a reactionary figurehead. This is an executive downfall spiral, and it happens faster than you think. Think about the last time you made a decision in anger. Maybe it was an email sent late at night. Maybe it was firing, that you later regret. Maybe it was an acquisition you pushed through because you wanted to win the negotiation rather than making a sound investment. In the boardroom, when you enter this delusion state, you lose the ability to see the objective truth. Your team stops bringing you bad news because they fear your reaction. Your culture shifts from innovation to survival. If you are a CEO or an entrepreneur anywhere globally, you know that your primary job is to be the chief decision making officer. Your ability to discern it's like your product. When you're angry, you have essentially bricked your own operating system. You're trying to run a multi-million dollar company on a system that is compromised by emotion. That, by definition, is a liability. So, friends, how do we fix this? How do we stop the loop? How, you don't suppress the emotion, you intercept the signal. So, there are a few steps which I would like to suggest to you. Step one: pattern interrupt. The moment you feel that the heat in your chest, or that tightening in your jaw, you have to hit a circuit breaker. Physically stand up, leave the room, step away from the screen. Neuroscience tells us that it takes about 90 seconds for an emotional chemical rush to dissipate. If you can stay silent for 90 seconds, you regain your prefrontal cortex, your seat of logic. Step number two: data retrieval. Force yourself to look at the facts. Strip the story you are telling yourself about why someone is out to get you or why this project is failing. Ask, what is the actual verifiable data here? This reactive process reactivates the memory that the Gita mentions, the wisdom you have built over your career, over your experience. Step number three is perspective shift. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Will you know? Will it mean anything to you in 5 years, for example? Will this matter mean anything in 5 months? Will this matter mean anything to you in 5 weeks? If the answer is no, stop treating it like a five alarm fire. This restores your power of discrimination. You are not an emotional robot. You are the leader. Your team relies on your equanimity. When the storm hit, the ship doesn't, get angry at the waves. It adjusts the rudder. So be the rudder, be like a rudder, right? Leadership is the art of mastery. Mastery over markets, mastery over technology, but most importantly, mastery over oneself. The Gita warned us thousands of years ago, and modern neuroscience confirms it today. If you cannot govern your mind, you cannot govern your enterprise. So, we believe that the integration of these ancient strategies with the modern technology is the key to the next generation of business success. Therefore, we bring these episodes to you every day. So, friends, if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, share this with your fellow leaders who need to hear it. Don't let your emotions be your company's biggest liability. Keep your head clear, keep your strategy sharp, and you will see, the things will basically take a better turn. I will see you in the next one. My name is CK, and thanks for watching. नमस्कार दोस्तों, आप सभी का स्वागत है। और हर रोज की तरह हम अपना जो दिन है उसकी शुरुआत करते हैं भगवान की पूजा करके। तो आज है आ, बुधवार, और आज तो गणेश जी की स्तुति बनता है, क्योंकि हम अपना दिन शुरू करेंगे गणेश जी की पूजा करके, क्योंकि आज का दिन उनको समर्पित है। तो बहुत ही सिंपल सा एक मंत्र हम 11 दफा पढ़ेंगे। और आप तो जानते हैं कि हर रोज की तरह हम अपनी पूजा शुरू करते हैं, और जो मंत्र है 11 दफा अपने हमें थोड़ा सा सहायता मिले तो हम इस काउंटर को यूज करते हैं। और इसमें ये बड़े आराम से हमें इसमें नंबर आ जाते हैं स्क्रीन के ऊपर। पता चल जाता है कि हमारे कितनी दफा हो गया है। तो आप कोई भी तरीका यूज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात यह है कि हमारे साथ जुड़ें और हमारे साथ इस मंत्र का उच्चारण 11 दफा करें। इससे भगवान गणेश काफी खुश होते हैं। तो चलिए जी, हाथ जोड़ के हम नमन करते हैं और 11 दफा भगवान जी को याद करते हैं। ओम गण गण गणपते नमः। 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 तो दोस्तों, हमारे 11 दफा जो स्तुति थी वो पूरी हो गई भगवान गणेश की। अब हम अपना दिन स्टार्ट करेंगे आराम से। भगवान की हमने पूजा कर ली है, तो चलिए अभी आपसे विदा लेता हूँ, लेकिन जल्दी ही मिलता हूँ दूसरे वीडियो में। कहीं मत जाइएगा। Hello, friends, and Namaskaram. On January 9th, the year is 2007, the tech world shifted on its axis. When Steve Jobs walked onto the Macworld stage, he wasn't just launching a phone, he was introducing a pocket sized computer that would fundamentally transform how we communicate, work, and exist. In this video, we dive deep into the history of the original iPhone, from the risk of abandoning the physical keyboard to the gamble on a multi touch interface. We analyze why Apple's revolutionary product became the blueprint for the entire smartphone industry. We explore the tech, the design, the philosophy, and the cultural impact that was created uh, by this particular device that we live with today. We cannot imagine living without a smartphone. So let's go and explore the history again. So, friends, close your eye. Let me take you back to the year 2006. If you wanted to check your email, you went to a desk. If you wanted to take a photo, you carried a dedicated camera. If you wanted to listen to music, you pulled out an iPod. And if you wanted to make a phone call, you used a plastic brick with physical buttons that felt like they were designed for someone with tiny precision engineered thumbs. Mobile communication was functional, yes, but it was limited. It was clunky. It was disconnected. Then on January 9th, 2007, the world shifted. As the Mac World Convention in San Francisco, one man walked on stage and introduced a device That didn't just change the industry, it invented the modern world as we know it today. We are looking back at the first iPhone and why it remained the most important piece of consumer tech ever built. Before the iPhone, the smartphone market was complicated. It was dominated by business first devices. If you had a smartphone, it usually meant you had a QWERTY keyboard permanently taking up the half the screen. The mobile internet was miserable experience. Most WAP sites, slow loading time, and the text only interface. We accept it, right? We thought that was as good as we would ever get. The industry was obsessed with more and more buttons, more physical styluses, and more complexities. So friends, before we move forward, please let us know from which city or country you have tuned in into this video. All right, let's continue. The Apple's approach was radically different. They didn't want to build a better phone. They wanted to build a computer you could carry in your pocket. But the challenge was massive. They had to solve the keyboard problem. How do you make a phone when the screen is on the phone itself? When Steve Jobs took the stage, he did something masterful. He teased the audience. He said, I have been looking forward to this for 2.5 years. He told us that he was releasing three products: an iPod with touch control, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communicator. He repeated it over and over and over. And then he dropped the bombshell. These weren't three separate devices, it was just one. The audience erupted. But the true genius wasn't just the marketing, it was in the rejection of the stylus. Jobs famously asked, who wants a stylus? You have to get them, put them away, or you will lose them, right? Apple bet everything on human finger. They bet on multi-touch, and it was a massive gamble. In 2007, the capacitive touchscreen were very expensive, unproven, and notoriously difficult to make responsive. If that screen didn't work, if it lagged or misread your taps, the entire product would have been a laughing stock. So, why did it work? It wasn't just the screen, it was the software. Apple essentially shrunk a version of Mac OS down to fit on a handheld device. It had a real web browser, Safari, that showed real websites, not those stripped down mobile versions everyone else was forcing us on back in the day. Let's talk about that interface. It was fluid. It had inertia scrolling. You could pinch to zoom. These gestures feels like second nature now, like breathing. But in 2007, they felt like magic. It felt like the device was reading your mind. The grid of the icon was intuitive. It removed the barrier to entry. You did not need a manual to use an iPhone. You just touched it and it responded. By removing the physical keyboard, they turned the phone into a blank canvas. Today, you see your phone for maps, banking, photography, and streaming. In 2007, the iPhone made all of that possible by creating a screen that could change its function instantly. The iPhone didn't just change the mobile market, it changed the human behavior. It accelerated the age of always on connectivity. Before the iPhone, your digital life was tethered to a desk. After the iPhone, the internet was a constant companion in your pocket. It gave birth to the App Store a year later, which revolutionized the global economy, spanning entirely new industries like ride sharing, food delivery, and social media dominance. Every smartphone you see today, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, is a direct descendant of that 2007 design. The large screen, the lack of physical keyboard, the gesture based navigation, every single one of them is living in the shadow of that first keynote. Looking back, it is easy to dismiss the first iPhone. It had no 3G, no App Store at launch, and the camera was not very good quality. But judging it by today's spec is missing the point. The first iPhone wasn't just about hardware, it was about a vision. It was about realizing that we are entering a new era of computing. It took the complexity of technology and made it more human. It turned the phone into a tool for creativity, connection, and discovery. And that, more than any other feature, is why we still talk about it nearly 2 decades later. So, what was your first smartphone experience? Please share your experience in the comment section below. Did you make the jump to iPhone early, or did you hold out for something else? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the tech that define our lives. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you again in the next one. Hello friends. Ferrari has officially entered the electric era with an all-new Ferrari Luce. In this video, we take an exclusive first look at the Maranello's first fully electric car, a $640,000 four-door super sedan that challenges everything we thought we knew about the electric car performance. Can a battery-powered Ferrari still delivers that legendary prancing horse soul? Is the $640,000 price tag justified? We analyze how the Luce compares to the Puro Sangu and other luxury EVs, and why the Ferrari's move to electric is far more calculated than just chasing trends. Whether you are a die-hard V12 pursuit or an EV enthusiast, this is the most important Ferrari launch of the decade. Let's go and discuss this further. For decades, the name Ferrari has been the synonym with one thing: the raw scream of the combustion engine. From the legendary V12 to the high-strung V8s, Maranello defined the supercar felt like. You know what it really means to have a supercar. Therefore, people used to say that I own a Safari. But today, the history book has been rewritten. Ferrari has officially unveiled the Luce, their first ever fully electric vehicle. It's a bold $640,000 statement that they aren't just joining the EV race, they intend to lead it. But can a battery powered car truly capture the prancing horse soul? Today we are breaking down everything you need to know about the most controversial, technologically advanced and expensive car Ferrari has ever produced. So friends, if you reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's move ahead. Let's get straight to the numbers because they are staggering. The Luce is built on a dedicated EV platform housing a 122 kilowatt hour battery pack. This isn't just an engine swap. This is a ground up engineering. It features 4 electric motors, one for every wheel, producing a combined 1050 horsepower, 1000 horsepower. That's enough to propel this 5-seat Grand Tourer from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2.5 seconds. To put that in perspective, it is faster than V12 powered by Puro Sangue. The drive system is rear biased for that classic Ferrari handling feel, with the rear motors capable of putting down 843 horsepower on their own. And for those wondering about the range, it's rated for about 530 kilometers on a single charge. It's clearly built to be usable GT, not just a track toy. The biggest hurdle for an electric sports car is emotion. Without the roar of V12, where is the passion? Ferrari spent 5 years with 40,000 kilometers of testing to answer this question. Instead of playing a synthetic fake engine noise through speakers, Loose use an innovative amplified hum. They place a sensor on the rear axle to capture the actual mechanical vibration of the motor, which are then processed and amplified. It's meant to be an honest mechanical feedback loop that keeps the driver connected to the machine. It's not trying to be a gas engine, it is trying to be the most exciting electric car engine possible. So you might notice the design looks different, and therefore that's because Ferrari collaborated with Love from the design firm co-founded by former Apple design chief John Ive. The Loose abandons the classic mid-engine proportion we are used to. It's a 4-door, 5-seat layout with a long wheelbase and a sloping roofline. Up front, you get a clean, full width lightning signature and an illuminated badge instead of a grille. The rear, however, keeps the classic 4-round taillight and aesthetic hidden behind a sleek black panel. It is minimalist, aerodynamic, and depending on who you ask, either a masterpiece of modern design or a massive departure from tradition. Let's step inside the Apple designed or Apple influenced, and therefore when you get in, it is undeniable. The cabin is minimalist, focusing on 12.5-inch OLED display that mimics analog dials. There is always a clever 10-inch infotainment screen that moves, so both the drivers and passenger can adjust it. Crucially, they have kept a physical toggle for key control, and for the first time ever, you can seat 5 people comfortably in a Ferrari. The rear doors are rear hinged, making accessible incredibly easy. A touch of the luxury that provides this car is meant to be driven every day. So the big question is it worth $640,000? The car isn't just about the specs. It's about Ferrari proving it can survive the electric transition without losing its prestige. It's the second most expensive car in their lineup, trailing only to the Extreme F80. And delivery start this autumn in Europe, while we'll have to wait until spring 2027 to see them on other continents, starting with America and rest of the world. Whether the Loose becomes a future classic or a polarizing experiment, one thing is certain: Ferrari has officially left the age of gasoline behind. And friends, therefore, what do you think? Has Ferrari succeeded, or is this a step too far? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the changing world of supercars. And friends, I will see you again very soon in the next one. Before I go, I will have to say a few words about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello, friends, welcome and namaskaram. Is Amazon taking down Nvidia? Well, Amazon just confirmed a massive shift in its hardware strategy, and it is not just for the cloud, it is coming for your living room too. In this video, we break down Amazon's latest move to develop custom in house silicon for its entire ecosystem. From the flagship Trinium AI chip meant to challenge NVIDIA in a third party data center to breaking news about the custom processor coming to Kindle, Fire TV, and Echo devices in 2027. Amazon is betting big on the vertical integration to cutting cost and own its own AI stack. Let's explore this further. For years, Amazon has been the company that sold you everything from books to cloud computing power. But lately, they have been pivoting into role that put them in a direct competition with very giant that used to supply them. We are witnessing a fundamental shift in Amazon's DNA. The retail and the cloud giant is no longer content with being just a customer of a semiconductor industry. They are becoming the architect of their own hardware future. From the chip inside your Echo shows to the massive processor training AI in AWS data centers, Amazon's secret weapon is officially out of the bag. Custom in house silicon. Today, we are breaking down why Amazon is making this massive bet, what it means for your Kindle, Fire TV, and why this strategy could reshape the AI landscape for the next decade. So, friends, if you've reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you're watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now, let us continue with our discussion and analysis. Let's start with why. Why would a retailer go through the immense billion-dollar trouble of designing their own microchip? The answer is simple: control, cost, and capacity. For years, companies like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft have been at the mercy of chip designers like Nvidia, Qualcomm, and Intel. When you rely on off the shelf hardware, you are playing by their rules, paying their margins, and dealing with their supply chain constraints. But Amazon isn't just a retailer anymore. As they ramped up their AI spending, they have realized that the traditional buy it all approach is becoming a financial bottleneck. By designing their own processor, Amazon can optimize for specific task. They can make their devices much more efficient, faster at handling AI requests, and significantly cheaper to produce at scale. This leads us to the biggest news of the week. Reports are surfacing about a major behind the scenes shakeup for Amazon's consumer hardware. According to the industry analyst, Amazon is planning to gradually shift away from third party processors for its consumer gadgets. We are talking about the Kindles, the Fire TV, your doorbell ring, Eco Smart speakers. The transition is reportedly slated to begin in 2027. And if this sounds like pulling up an Apple, that is because it is. Apple famously designed its own A series and M series chip to create a seamless integration between their software and hardware. Amazon is now attempting the same philosophy. They've already started dipping their toes into this with AZ3 and AZ3 Pro chips, which are unveiled in October to help run AI models directly on your devices rather than sending data back and forth to the cloud. Think about that for a second. If your Alexa device can process your voice command or recognize your home context on the device using custom silicon, it's not only faster, it's much more secure and private. And the scale here is massive. We are talking about potentially 40 million Amazon designed processors shipping annually once this strategy is fully rolled out. To make this happen, Amazon is partnering with AI chip for the back-end design, signaling that they are fully committed to this long-term procurement pivot. Now, while the consumer stuff is exciting, we have to talk about the real money maker, which is the cloud. This is where the Amazon's custom silicon journey truly began. And it's where the war against Nvidia is being fought. Amazon has been quietly building its custom silicon capability since acquiring Annapurna Labs way back in 2015. That investment has matured into Trinium and Infertia chip family. They aren't for your living room. These are the engines that power the intelligence behind the scene of the internet. By running their own chips, AWS can offer their cloud customers better performance per dollar than if they were only renting out NVIDIA GPUs. In fact, the recent report suggests Amazon is even exploring the idea of selling their Trinium chips to outside companies. This is a massive power move. It transforms Amazon from cloud service provider into hardware supplier for other data centers, putting them in direct competition with the giants of the semiconductor world. We are even seeing the global ambition in action. Just this week, Amazon announced a massive 13 billion additional investment into India to expand cloud and AI infrastructure, specifically to give startups and government bodies access to these custom AI chips. They aren't just building chips, they are building the physical infrastructure of the future digital economy across the entire nations. So, what does this actually mean for you and me, the average users? In short term, you might not notice a massive difference. Your next Kindle or your Fire TV isn't going to turn into a supercomputer overnight, but over time, you will likely see smarter, faster, and more private AI features that feel like they just work. And from a business perspective, this is Amazon way of protecting their bottom lines. With the staggering cost of AI development, Amazon needs to streamline its organization and improve the cost structure of its non AI businesses to keep funding the AI revolution. Amazon is effectively building a moat. By controlling the chips, they control the experience and the world of AI where the speed and efficiencies are everything. That is the ultimate secret weapon. So, friends, what do you think? Is Amazon pivot to in-house silicon is a brilliant move to challenge the giant, or they are spreading themselves too thin? Drop a comment below and let's get into the debate. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Silicon Wars, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tech analysis. Friends, thanks for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Hello, friends, and namaskar. Something very serious is happening in the automotive industry, more specifically with Honda. I'm sure all of us are Honda fan. Even if you're not Honda fan, then this information is still worthy for you to know. In a historic and shocking financial update, Honda Motors Corporation has just posted its first annual loss in nearly 70 years, reporting a staggering $9 billion deficit, which is equal to about 1.45 trillion yen in EV related charges. In this video, we dive deep into the collapse of Honda's aggressive EV only strategy and its sudden massive pivot back to hybrid technologies. Let us go and discuss this further. For nearly 70 years, Honda has been the gold standard of reliability. Since they first listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange in the year 1957, they have survived oil crises, global recessions, and shifting consumer tastes without ever posting an annual net loss until now. On May 14th, 2026, the unthinkable happened. Honda Motors Company reported a staggering $9 billion loss tied to its aggressive push into electric vehicles. To put that in perspective, that is not just a bad year, that was a historic industry shaking reversal. Just 3 years ago, Honda was the poster child for all in EV movement. They pledged to stop selling gas cars entirely by 2040. They partnered with tech giants like Sony. They committed billions to massive battery plants in Ohio and Ontario. But today, those plans are in tatters. Projects are being cancelled. CEOs are taking pay cuts, and the EV surge that was supposed to carry Honda into the future has instead driven them into a $9 billion wall. Is this the end of Honda as we know it, or is it a masterstroke of survival once again? So, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further with our analysis. Today we are breaking down exactly what went wrong and the hybrid lifeline Honda is desperately grabbing to save itself. Let's look at the numbers because they are brutal. Honda operating loss for the fiscal year ending March 2026 was approximately 414 billion yen. For those of you following markets, that's a massive swing from 1.2 trillion yen profit they saw just a year earlier. Where does the money go? It wasn't because the people stopped buying Hondas. In fact, if you strip away the EV investment, their core business and motorcycles and the traditional engines was actually profitable. The $9 billion loss comes from the restructuring charges. And therefore, there are several things that Honda is forced to do. First is write-off. Honda spent billions of building molds, designing software-defined platforms, and setting up the production line for their new 0 Series EV. Number two is the cancellation. When they realized that the demand wasn't there, they had to walk away. They cancelled Honda Zero SUV and the Acura RSX EV. Third is the supply chain. Because they had already made deals with supplier, they now owe billions in compensation for parts they no longer want. And this is what the analysts call a software-defined reality check. Honda tried to build a smartphone on wheels to compete with Teslas and Chinese brand like BYD, but they found they couldn't do it profitably. You might be asking why now? Why not 2 years ago? The answer lies in the perfect storm of politics and consumer behavior. In September 2025, the US landscape shifted dramatically. The second administration of President Donald Trump moved quickly to scrap EV tax credit. Suddenly, that $7,500 incentive that made an electric Honda look affordable was gone. At the same time, new tariffs on the imported part made building EV even more expensive. Honda's leadership admitted they misread the room. They expected the US market to stay EV hungry forever. Instead, consumers did something unexpected. They started buying hybrids in record numbers. Even more painful was the situation in China. Honda's official report was refreshingly honest and a bit sad. They admitted they were unable to deliver products that offer value for money better than newer EV manufacturers. In short, they were being out-engineered and outpriced in the world's biggest EV market. The most visible sign of this retreat is in North America. For years, Honda had been touting its 0 Series, the lineup that would define the brand for the 21st century. As of today, 15 billion EVs value chain project in Ontario, Canada has been put on indefinite hold. This wasn't just a factory, it was supposed to be an entire ecosystem from battery materials to assembly. Then there is Sony Honda partnership as well. Remember the Afeela? It was a high-tech EV collaboration that was going to use Sony's entertainment system. That project has also hit a massive roadblock, with development and sales effectively halted. To show this severity, Honda's board members are forfeiting their bonuses, and the senior executives are taking 25% to 30% pay cuts. This is a company in survival mode. So, what is the plan now? Honda isn't going out of business. They are, performing a massive tactical retreat to higher ground. The ultra efficient hybrid. Instead of 100% EV by 2040, Honda has pivoted. They are now launching 15 new hybrid models globally by 2029. They are focusing on what America and the Indian buyers actually want: large D segment SUVs and mid sized sedans that don't need a charging station. They are even retooling their EV battery plants to make smaller, cheaper hybrid batteries instead. What is the goal? The goal to return to the record high profit of 8.9 billion by fiscal year 2029. They are also leaning on their unsung heroes, the motorcycle division. While the car side was bleeding money, Honda's motorcycles, especially in India and Vietnam, are seeing massive growth. In many ways, the humble two-wheeler is subsidizing the survival of the four-wheeler division. So back to our original question. Now, is this the end of Honda? Well, if you mean the end of Honda as an EV only visionary, then definitely yes. That dream is over for now. They have scrapped the targets, cancelled their projects, and paid 9 billion, sort of tuition fee to learn a hard lesson about the market reality. But as a car company, they might be their most important moment since 1957. By admitting they were wrong, by being the decisive CEO, and Honda is trying to reclaim its clarity among the total disruption. They are betting that the future isn't the surge of electric cars but steady hybrid middle path. So friends, what do you think about this move? Is Honda being smart by retreating, or are they falling behind for good? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you feel. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. I am CK. Thanks for watching Akulmach World. I will catch you again in the next one. But before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Imagine you're moving into a new apartment, but there is a catch. You have to carry every single piece of furniture, the walls, the plumbing, and the oxygen system on your back while climbing a mountain. That is essentially the challenge of building a base on the moon. For decades, the dream of lunar colony has been held back by one brutal reality, which is the weight. In the space industry, mass is money. Every extra kilogram of steel or aluminum you send to lunar surface cost a fortune in rocket fuel. Because of this, most proposed moon bases have been small, cramped, and incredibly difficult to scale. But that's about to change now. A Florida based startup called Max Space has just unveiled a design that sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, a pop up habitat. They aren't just building rooms, they are building what they call the scalable real estate for the moon. And if they succeed, the era of flags and footprints is over and the era of lunar cities is going to begin. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. So why is the max space important? They recently emerged from the stealth with a bold claim. They can provide most habitable volume for the lowest launch mass in history. In April 2026, the company unveiled a subscale version of their expandable habitat, proving that this isn't just a digital render, it's a physical hardware. Led by the co-founder Salim Mia and Aaron Kammer, MaxSpace is leveraging over 30 years of material science knowledge and what they call the practical readiness of the materials to solve the hardest problem in lunar exploration. The core idea is very simple. Instead of sending a rigid metal tube that is mostly empty space, you send a highly compressed, ultra strong fabric envelope. One of it hits the lunar surface, it pops up and expanding to 20 times its original stored volume. Think about that. One single SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, a workhorse of the modern space flight, could theoretically launch a fully equipped habitat with 350 cubic meters of volume. To put that in perspective, that's about a third of the entire habitable volume of the International Space Station delivered in a single relatively cheap launch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Inflatable on the moon. Well, isn't that just a giant balloon waiting to pop? It's a very fair question. The lunar environment is a nightmare. Temperatures swing between 107 degrees in the sun to minus 153 in the shade. There is no atmosphere to stop micrometeorites and radiation from solar flare can be lethal. But Max Space design isn't a balloon. It's an engineering marvel made of interwoven layer of advanced materials like Kevlar and specialized polymer bladders. Why this is actually better than metal? There are several reasons, starting with the debris protection. This is the first reason. Rigid metal hull can actually shatter or spall when hit by high speed space dust. Expandable layer absorbs the disperse the impact energy much like a bulletproof vest. Second is the radiation shielding. Because these habitats are so large, once expanded, they can be outfitted with internal shieldings or even covered with lunar regolith, which is the moon soil or moon dirt, whatever you want to call it, and that will create a massive radiation proof bunker. Number 3 is the mass to volume ratio. In a rigid module, the walls have to be thick enough to handle launch vibration and internal pressures. With an expandable, the walls are optimized for the pressure of the space, making them lighter and stronger per square inch. The company calls this scalable real estate because it allows for a modular approach. You don't just build one room, you link them together. You can have a pop-up lab, a pop-up greenhouse, and pop-up sleeping quarters, all connected by a pressurized tunnel. This news couldn't come at a better time. We are currently in the middle of Artemis era. As of April 2026, Artemis 2 has successfully returned from its lunar flyby, marking the first humans to have seen the far side of moon with their own eyes since 1972. NASA is now laser focused on Artemis 4 and Artemis 5, which are targeted for 2028. Artemis 5 is going to be very interesting because it's specifically where the moon base phase begins. NASA recently announced they are moving away from the Lunar Gateway space station concept in favor of a permanent surface infrastructure. They want to stay on the surface of the moon. And this is where the Max Space and the Voyager Technologies partnership comes, in reality and becomes more real. The company behind the Star Lab, in fact, the Voyager, you may be knowing, is the company behind this Star Lab space station, and has made a multi-million-dollar investment in Max Space to ensure this tech is ready for the Artemis mission. Now, what is the goal? By the late 2020s, instead of astronauts living out of their lander for a week, they will move into these max space habitat for months at a time. This tech turns a visit into a colony. So that is a very clear goal. What is the next step now? Max space isn't going straight to the moon. First, they have to prove it their system works in vacuum of Earth's orbit. Their first flight, known as the mission Evolution, is scheduled for 2027 as a ride share on a Falcon 9. This will be a smaller prototype to validate the deployment sequence and structural integrity. If that works, the sky, or rather the lunar south pole, is the limit. They are already designing their Thunderbird station, a commercial outpost that could serve as a lunar hotel or a research hub. For 60 years, we have thought about space station, the moon bases, as cold metallic cylinders, but the future of human life beyond Earth might be softer, lighter, and much, much bigger. Max Space is betting that the key to cosmos isn't building bigger rockets, but building smarter houses. If they are right, the first pop-up colony on the moon won't just be a scientific outpost. It will be the first real piece of lunar real estate in human history. Now, the question is, if you could book a room in a pop-up lunar hotel in 2030, would you go to moon? I would like to know your answer. So friends, thanks for watching. If you want to stay updated on the race to build the first moon base, hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos on Artemis program. Before I go, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In the bustling city of Ujjain 15 centuries ago, a sage looked to the sky and saw not just stars but system, pattern that bound the heaven to the earth. The sage was Varaha Mihira, the polymath whose vision stretched from astronomy to architecture, from rainfall to gemstone. His encyclopedia, Brahat Samhita, was not just a book. It was a universe compressed into verses, a manual for living in harmony with cosmic order. In 2026, as humanity deciphers galaxies with telescopes and predicts climate with algorithm, Varaha Mihira's legacy feels startlingly modern. He reminds us that the science is not a silo but a synthesis, that wisdom lies in weaving together the disciplines, and the rhythm of cosmos still pulses through the choices we make on earth. So let's find out more about him. So in the 6th century CE, when the Ujjain was a flourishing center of learning and culture, a polymath named Varaha Mihira rose to prominence. His name still resonates today, not merely as a figure of ancient India's intellectual heritage, but as a symbol of how science, mathematics, and the cosmology can shape civilization across centuries. In 2026, as humanity stands at the crossroad of artificial intelligence, space exploration, and climate changes, Varaha Mihira's legacy feels uncannily relevant. Varaha Mihira was master of synthesis. He absorbed the knowledge from Greeks, Romans, and Persian tradition, blending them seamlessly with Indian thought. His magnum opus, the Brahat Samhita, is the vast encyclopedia of science and society. Within its verses lies insight on astronomy, meteorology, architecture, botany, gemology, and even omens. So it is not a single discipline text, but a panoramic vision of a knowledge and approach that mirrors today's interdisciplinary science, where the breakthrough often merge at the intersections of fields. So, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. That will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, going forward. So, in astronomy, Varaha Mihira's redefined planetary calculation, eclipse, and building upon Aryabhat's foundations. His Siddhantika consolidate 5 astronomical schools into coherent framework, demonstrating his gift for harmonizing a diverse system. In 2026, when global science thrives on collaboration across nations and culture, his work reminds us that the process is not about isolation but integration. Equally striking is his contribution to meteorology. Varaha Mihira's studied rainfall pattern, cloud formation, and the seasonal cycles, offering predictive model for agriculture. At a time when the climate change threatens the food security, his emphasis on observing the nature, aligning a human activity with environmental rhythm feels like prophetic. So his vision suggests that the sustainability is not a modern invention but a timeless necessity. Varaha Mihira also ventured into astrology, a discipline that today sit uneasily between science and belief. Yet even here his work reflects a deeper truth. The human desire is to find meaning in the cosmos. And in 2026, as AI models predict markets, weather, even the human behavior, the boundary between science and foresight blurs. Varaha Mihira's astrological writing reminds us that the prediction, whether through stars or algorithm, is ultimately about navigating uncertainty. So Mehra's most notable work was Brihat Samhita, an encyclopedia work on architecture, temples, planetary motions, eclipse, timekeeping, astrology, seasons and cloud formation, rainfall and agriculture, mathematics, gemology and perfume and many other topics. So his encyclopedic curiosity extended to practical sciences. He wrote on architecture, emphasizing proportion and harmony. On gemology, linking minerals to their properties, and on botany, cataloging the plants with medical and cultural use. His holistic approach resonates with today's push towards integrative knowledge, where the medicine, technology, and ecology must converge to solve the global crisis. What makes Varaha Mihra's is especially relevant in 2026 is his worldview. He did not see science as detached from the society. His text weave together the cosmic and the earthly, the abstract and the practical. So, in an era where the AI, quantum physics risk becoming ultimate goal, his example urges us to keep science more human centric and rooted in the rhythm of life. Thus, Varaha Mihra's legacy is not confined to dusty manuscripts, and it is alive in every attempt to unify knowledge, to predict the unpredictable, and to align human progress with cosmic order. His voice echoes across centuries, reminding us that wisdom lies not in specialization alone, but in synthesis. So, as we sip espresso brewed by fluid dynamics, launch rocket guided by orbital mechanics, and train AI system on vast database, we are, in a sense, continuing the Varaha Mihra's project to see the universe as a web of interconnectedness truth. In 2026, his contribution inspired us to balance innovation with wisdom, precision with harmony, and science with humanity. So, in the sweep of centuries, Varaha Mihra's voice still carries and reminding us that the knowledge is not a fragment but a fabric woven from the star, seasons, stones, and human endeavor. His encyclopedic vision is actually born in Ujjain's golden age, anticipated the very challenge we face in 2026. The need to unify disciplines, to respect nature's rhythm, and to balance the prediction with wisdom. As we harness AI, forecast climates, we walk a path he once traced in verses. Varaha Mihra's legacy is not a relic of past, but a compass for the future, urging us to see science as a bridge between cosmos and civilization. From ancient starlight to modern algorithm, his contribution endure proof that the true wisdom is timeless. So we have come to the end. Like and subscribe our channel. I look forward for your comments on this topic, and see you in the next one. But before we end, a few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कारम। आप सबका स्वागत है। और आज है 2 जुलाई यानी कि बृहस्पतिवार यानी कि थर्सडे। तो आज का दिन जो है वो भगवान विष्णु के लिए समर्पित है। तो हम रोज भगवान की पूजा करते हैं, आज हम विष्णु भगवान की पूजा करेंगे और एक मंत्र का सिंपल सा मंत्र है, 11 दफा उच्चारण करेंगे, रिसाइटेशन। तो हर रोज की तरह मैं इस काउंटर को यूज करूंगा। आप जैसे मर्जी इसको करना चाहें, आपके पास माला है या अपने मन में आप करना चाहें, आप फ्री समझिए, कैसे भी आप करिए, लेकिन 11 दफा करना है। हर थर्सडे को, हर बृहस्पतिवार को अपना दिन शुरू करने से पहले भगवान का नमन करना जरूरी है। तो चलिए हाथ जोड़ लेते हैं और इस काउंटर को हम अपने पास रखते हैं और शुरू हो जाते हैं अपना भगवान विष्णु की आराधना के लिए। ओम वासुदेवाय नमः। 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 तो दोस्तों, हमारी आज की पूजा समाप्त हुई और अब हम अपना दिन शुरू कर सकते हैं। जैसे हमारा दिन शुभ है, हम इसकी कामना करते हैं, वैसे ही हम इसकी भी कामना करते हैं कि आपका दिन भी मंगलमय और शुभ रहे। इसी कामना के साथ इस वीडियो को हम अभी यहाँ पे बंद करते हैं, लेकिन जल्दी ही मिलता हूँ दूसरे वीडियो में। नमस्कार।
In the age of antibiotic resistance, where the once curable infection now defies machine's best weapon, a new hero emerges, not from the pharmacy, but from the world of nanotechnology. Imagine a sheet so thin it's only one atom thick, yet sharper than any blade nature has ever forged. This is a graphene oxide, a carbon lattice that slices through the deadly bacteria while leaving human cells untouched. It does not just fight superbug, it rewrites the rule of survival, turning physics into medicine and proving that sometimes the smallest structure can wage the bigger wars. In the age of antibiotic resistance, where the once curable infection now defies machine's best weapon, a new hero emerges, not from the pharmacy, but from the world of nanotechnology. Imagine a sheet so thin it's only one atom thick, yet sharper than any blade nature has ever forged. This is a graphene oxide, a carbon lattice that slices through the deadly bacteria while leaving human cells untouched. It does not just fight superbug, it rewrites the rule of survival, turning physics into medicine and proving that sometimes the smallest structure can wage the bigger wars. So, in the relentless battle between medicine and microbes, humanity faces formidable foe. Antibiotic resistance bacteria, often called as superbug, and these pathogens actually hardened by decades of overuse and misuse of antibiotics now evade the treatment that once subdued them with ease. So hospitals worldwide reports infection that no longer respond to conventional drug raises the specter of post-antibiotic era where minor wound or a routine surgery could again become deadly. So against this backdrop, scientists have turned to an unlikely ally, and which is graphene oxide, a material born out not out in biology but in the lab of nanotechnology. So graphene is a single layer of carbon atom arranged in a honeycomb lattice and has been hailed as a wonder material for its strength, conductivity, versatility, and there are other aspect which is definitely associated with that. When oxided and it's gain a chemical group that makes its biological active. So researchers discovered that graphene oxide sheet interacts with the bacterial membranes in a way that is both subtle and devastating. So while microscopic blade they pierce and disrupts the lipid wall of harmful bacteria, causing them to leak or die. Yet remarkably, human cell remains unharmed. And the selectivity lies in the differences between bacterial and mammalian membranes, and this is very architectural of life, and that becomes the shield that protects us. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and which language you are watching this video. So this will remind us and determine the reach of our channel. So this discovery is more than a lab curiosity. So it represents a paradigm shift in antimicrobial strategy. So unlike antibiotic, which targets specific biochemical pathway and can be actually outmaneuvered by mutations, graphene oxide attacks the physical integrity of bacteria. So resistance is in this way is far harder to evolve. A bacterium cannot easily re-engineer its membranes to withstand the sharp edges of graphene sheet without compromising its own survival. So thus graphene oxide offers a weapon that sidesteps the evolutionary arm race that has actually plugged into antibiotic development. So the implication ripples outward. Imagine hospital surfaces coated with graphene oxide film, silently neutralizing a pathogen before they spread. So picture would be like dressing infused with graphene oxide, protecting patients from infection without the need for systematic drug. So considering all this, consider the water purification system where graphene oxide eliminates the harmful microbes while leaving beneficial one untouched. So each application transform the material from a marvel of physics into a guardian of health. So yet, as with all scientific breakthroughs, the caution temper is excitement. And the researchers must ensure that the long-term exposure to graphene oxide does not produce unforeseen effect in human tissues or ecosystem. So balance between efficiency and safety must be carefully measured. Moreover, the scaling production of graphene oxide to industrial level poses challenges in cost and sustainability. Promise is immense, but realization also requires meticulous engineering and ethical foresight. So philosophically, the rise of graphene oxide as a microbial slayer underscores a deeper truth. Solution of biological crisis may emerge from realm far beyond biology. A material once prized for electronics now stands at the frontier of medicine. So this coverage of disciplines, physics like chemistry and microbiology illustrates the interconnectedness of human knowledge. So in the lattice of carbon atoms, we glimpse not just strength and conductivity, but a new chapter in the story of survival. As superbug continues to threaten the modern medicine, graphene oxide offers hope that the tide can be turned. And it is not a kind of which is very powerful, but a powerful addition to our arsenal of medicines, of safeguarding the health. In its sharp edges and selective touches, we find a reminder that the innovation often lies at the boundaries of field waiting to be discovered. The fight against the superbug is far from over, but with graphene oxide, humanity may have found a material ally as a resilient and adaptable as life itself. So, in this war against the antibiotic resistance, graphene oxides stand as a chemical cure, but as also a material revolution. Its atom thin blade reminds us that the innovation often lies at the crossroad of disciplines, where physics meets medicines and nanotechnology becomes the shield for the life. The challenge ahead is too actually hard but promising. Promise with the responsibility and scaling production, ensuring safety and weaving it into the fabric of healthcare. Definitely it is there, but still require a sharper understanding and experiment. If the success of the graphene oxide may mark the dawn of new era where the superbug lose their grip, the humanity reclaim its edge. So this is for today. We have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. We will request you to like and subscribe our channel. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, welcome and namaskaram. Let me ask you, are black holes actually a myth? In this video, we challenge the fundamental understanding of the universe. Modern physics sets a wall when it comes to the singularity inside a black hole. But what if the math is wrong because the object isn't there at all? We are diving into the dark star hypothesis, a revolutionary theory proposing that instead of crushing matter into a point of infinite density, the dark matter fermions accumulate to form a massive invisible star. This could finally solve the greatest space mystery of the decade. How did the massive black holes grow so large so quickly? Let us explore this fact further. Black holes, they are the ultimate cosmic boogeyman. They are the most dense, most powerful, and most mysterious objects in our universe. We see their silhouette, we track the trace of their star devouring, dancing around them, and we see massive jets of energy shooting from their centers. We are taught that these are singularities, point of infinite density where gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. But what if I told you that everything we think we know about them might be wrong? What if the black holes as we define them don't actually exist? What if the math we use to describe them, the math that forces us to deal with infinities, is actually a sign that our current model is fundamentally broken? Today we are going to explore a radical hypothesis which is known as the dark star hypothesis. Could it be that what we call a black hole is actually a dense cluster of unknown dark matter fermions, mimicking the behavior of a black hole without this singularity, without the infinities, and without breaking the laws of physics? Let's dive in. But first, why would we want to get rid of black holes? They seems pretty solid, right? Well, the problem isn't about the observation, it's about the theory. In physics, whenever our equations produce an infinity, it's a giant red flag. It usually means our theory has reached its breaking point. Inside a standard black hole, the math of general relativity predicts a singularity, a point where density is infinite and volume is zero. So, when you get an infinity in physics, it's not an answer, it's an error message. It means our current tool for describing reality has failed. And then there is a big growth problem. We have observed supermassive black hole in very early universe, objects billions of times the mass of our sun. According to our current models of how matter collapses and how these holes fade, they shouldn't have had enough time to get that big. There are too big, too fast. It's like finding a fully grown a teenager in a nursery. Uh, it shouldn't be possible at all. So we have a choice. Either our understanding of how things grow is wrong, or the object itself isn't what we think it is. This is where the dark star hypothesis comes into play. So, friends, before we move forward, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Now, let's continue with our discussion. So, what is a dark star? Instead of a singularity, which is just a point, imagine a massive super dense cluster of dark matter. Now, we don't know exactly what dark matter is, but we know it interacts via gravity. Some theory suggests it is made of fermions, which are particles that follow the Pauli's exclusion principle. So, friends, if you know what is Pauli's exclusion principle, briefly I will tell you that no two particles in the space or universe can occupy the same position and space at the same time. This is not allowed, and that is what is defined in Pauli's exclusion principle. So, in simple terms, fermion hates being in the same place at the same time, and therefore, because it is not allowed, they exert outward pressure. In traditional star, pressure from the nuclear fusion pushes out against the gravity, keeping the star stable. In a dark star, it is the degeneracy pressure of these dark fermions pushing back against the gravity. This creates a stable, solid object. It is incredibly dense, so dense that it bends the light and warps the space-time almost exactly like a black hole. To an observer from a distance, it looks like a black hole. It has an event horizon of sorts, a point of no return for light, but inside there is no singularity, there is no infinity. There is just a really, really tight, packed ball of dark matter. So, why is this such a game changer? First, it solves the infinity problem. If you don't have a singularity, you don't have a infinite density. You have a finite physical object. Physics laws don't break down anymore because you are dealing with a material object, not a mathematical point of nothingness. Second, it solves the formation problem. If these supermassive objects are actually dark matter stars, they could have formed much earlier and much faster than the standard collapse model allows. They could have been the seeds of galaxies, existed long before the first star were ever, born or turned on. This isn't just about changing a name, it's about shifting our view of the architecture of the cosmos. It suggests that the dark matter isn't just a ghostly filler, it's the actual backbone of the universe. Now, is this proven? Absolutely not. This is a theoretical proposal. Science is a process of constantly refining our models. When we look at the universe, we see the effects of gravity, but we interpret them through the lens of what we currently know. If we keep finding that black holes model can't explain the early growth of the galaxies or the quantum mechanics, and gravity refuses to shake hands, we have to look for the alternative. Could the dark star be the answer? Maybe, maybe not. But the thrill of science isn't in having all the answers. It's in having the courage to ask, what if we were wrong? So, friends, what do you think? A black hole is the final word, or is there a dark secret hiding in the center of our galaxy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of the universe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon again in the next one. हेलो दोस्तों, नमस्कार। आप सबका स्वागत है। क्या आप एक सीईओ या बिजनेस लीडर हैं और हर दिन चुनौतियों का सामना कर रहे हैं? तो आप सही जगह पहुंचे हैं, क्योंकि इस वीडियो में हम भगवत गीता की सहायता लेंगे और आपकी इस सिचुएशन का आंसर ढूंढने की कोशिश करेंगे। हम ये जानेंगे कि जो सीख मिलती है हमें भगवत गीता से, वो एक मंत्र युद्ध क्षेत्र में एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं है, बल्कि हर एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए एक जीवन दर्शन है जो आपकी टीम का नेतृत्व में करने में सहायता करता है। चाहे जीत हो या हार, एक लीडर को अपनी निष्ठा, कर्म पर कैसे निगाह रखनी चाहिए, हम इस वीडियो में सीखेंगे और इसके बारे में और डिस्कशन करेंगे। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आजकल के दुनिया में, आजकल के परिप्रेक्ष्य में हम ऐसी एक रेस में हैं जहां जीतना ही सब कुछ है, जीतना ही अनिवार्य है। एक सीईओ के तौर पे आप हर सुबह एक नई चुनौती, एक नए संकट और एक नए डर के साथ उठते हैं। क्या ये मर्जर काम आएगा? मार्केट शेयर बढ़ेगा? क्या मेरी टीम परफॉर्म करेगी? हम सब अक्सर एक तनाव में जीते हैं। अगर मैं हार गया तो क्या होगा? अगर ये डिसीजन गलत हो गया तो क्या होगा? लेकिन आज मैं आपके साथ बिजनेस का एक ऐसा सीक्रेट कोड शेयर करने वाला हूं जो 5000 साल पहले महाभारत के रण क्षेत्र में दिया गया था। यह सिर्फ एक श्लोक ही नहीं, एक आधुनिक कॉर्पोरेट जगत का सबसे बड़ा रिस्क मैनेजमेंट टूल है। ध्यान से सुनिएगा। आज हम चर्चा करेंगे भगवत गीता के अध्याय 2 श्लोक 37, चैप्टर 2 वर्स 37 की। और इस श्लोक आपको सिखाएगा कि कैसे विन विन माइंडसेट के साथ आप अपनी कंपनी और अपने जीवन को लीड कर सकते हैं। तो आइए पहले श्लोक को हम पढ़ लेते हैं। भगवान कृष्ण अर्जुन से कहते हैं, एंड द कोट स्टार्ट्स, यदि तुम लड़ते हुए हार भी गए तो तुम्हें स्वर्ग मिलेगा। यानी आपको वो अनुभव और सीख मिलेगी जो आपको उच्च स्तर का लीडर बनाएंगे और आपको ऊंचाई पे ले जाएंगे। और यदि तुम जीत गए तो इस पृथ्वी पर सुख भोगोगे, यानी सफलता, प्रॉफिट एंड मार्केट लीडरशिप आपकी होगी। तो ये आपको बता रहा है कि दोनों ही सिचुएशन में विन विन है। तो दोस्तों, अगर आप यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं तो आप बताइए कमेंट करके कि किस सिटी से आप हमारे इस वीडियो को देख रहे हैं। तो चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं। हम सब ने इस वर्ष को सुना। जरा रुकिए और सोचिए, भगवान कृष्ण यहाँ अर्जुन से क्या कह रहे हैं? वो कह रहे हैं कि हारने का विकल्प ही खत्म कर दो। अर्जुन, कृष्ण के लिए हार जैसा कुछ है ही नहीं। अगर तुम हारते हो तो तुम कुछ सीखते हो, अगर तुम जीतते हो तो तुम कुछ हासिल करते हो। तो सीईओ के तौर पे क्या आपकी लाइफ में हार जैसी कोई चीज है या नहीं? अगर कोई प्रोजेक्ट फेल होता है तो आप एक लीडर के रूप में विकसित होते हैं, आप नई चीजें सीखते हैं, अपनी असफलता से आगे बढ़ते हैं। अगर सफल होते हैं तो आपकी कंपनी विकसित होती है। तो इस श्लोक में हम हमें अपनी कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ के को कैसे लागू करें, किस तरह से अपना माइंडसेट करें, इस चीज की हमें सीख दी गई है। तो इसमें मुख्य हमें क्या सीख मिल रही है? नंबर 1 इज डर का अंत। जब आप स्वीकार कर लेते हैं कि सीखना भी एक जीत है तो डर खत्म हो जाता है। एक सीईओ को जो डर में फैसला लेता है वो कभी बड़े रिस्क नहीं ले पाता। तो गीता आपको सिखाती है कि रिस्क लेना ही आपका धर्म है। नंबर 2, परिणाम से डिटैचमेंट। डिटैचमेंट जो आउटकम है, जो रिजल्ट है, उससे डिटैच हो जाइए आप। भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं कि यानी कि अगर आप लड़ना ही नहीं करेंगे तो आपको कोई परिणाम मिलेगा ही नहीं। तो आप लड़िए, अगर आप हारते हैं तो कुछ सीखते हैं, और अगर आप जीतते हैं तो आप डेफिनेटली सक्सेस पाते हैं। लेकिन हार जीत आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है, तो क्यों उस बारे में सोचना। 100% आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं होता, आपको अपना कर्म करना होता है, कर्तव्य करना होता है। लेकिन क्या हार मिलेगी क्या जीत, इसका फैसला कोई नहीं कर सकता। इसका फैसला सिर्फ यूनिवर्स के हाथ में है, जो हमारे कंट्रोल से बाहर है। अब तीसरा होता है विन विन फॉर्मूला। आज की दुनिया में हम विन लॉस के बारे में सोचते हैं। मुझे जीतना है हर हालत में, सामने वाले को हारना है हर हालत में। लेकिन गीता आपको क्या ज्ञान देती है? विन विन का क्या मतलब है? अपनी ड्यूटी मतलब अपना कर्म आपको पूरा करना है, अपनी पूरी क्षमता के साथ मैदान में उतरें, बाकी परिणाम अपने आप संभल जाएगा, अपने आप यूनिवर्स आपको दे देगा, आपके एक्शन के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है वो। तो कल सुबह जब आप ऑफिस जाएं तो ये 3 चीजें अपने साथ लेके जाएं। मैं बुलेट पॉइंट्स की तरह आपको ये दे रहा हूं। पॉइंट नंबर 1, अपने हर प्रोजेक्ट को एक धर्म युद्ध की तरह देखें। यह आपकी जिम्मेदारी है। जब आप इसे जिम्मेदारी की तरह देखेंगे तो आप हारने से नहीं डरेंगे, आप सिर्फ अपनी ड्यूटी निभाने पर फोकस करेंगे। बुलेट पॉइंट नंबर 2, अपने फेलियर्स को हेवनली गेन के रूप में देखें। हर बड़ी कंपनी जो आज लीडर है, उसने सैकड़ों बार फेलियर का स्वाद चखा है। उन फेलियर्स को स्टार्टअप या लर्निंग की तरह देखा जाए। बुलेट पॉइंट नंबर 3, निर्णय लेने में देरी ना करें। श्लोक के अंत में भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं, उठो, यानी एक्शन लो। एनालिसिस में फंसे रहोगे तो मैदान में कब उतरोगे? दोस्तों, एक सीईओ के रूप में सबसे बड़ी पूंजी आपकी मानसिक स्टेट ऑफ माइंड है, मानसिक स्थिरता है। अगर आप हार के डर से जकड़े हुए हैं तो आप कभी बड़ी ऊंचाइयों को हासिल नहीं कर पाएंगे। आज से अपनी डिक्शनरी में फेलियर शब्द को हटा दीजिए, और आप ये समझ लीजिए कि आप जीतेंगे, हर हाल में जीतेंगे। और अपने जो थॉट प्रोसेस है उसको अपग्रेड करिए। तो इसमें भगवान बोलते हैं कि उठो, फाइट करो और जीतो। अगर आपको यह विन विन श्लोक का जो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है बिजनेस फील्ड में अगर पसंद आया है तो कमेंट करके ये लिखें कि मैं तैयार हूँ, और हाँ मैं तैयार हूँ, ये कमेंट करके आप मेरे पास भेजें। और अगर आपको लगता है कि गीता का ज्ञान बिजनेस में उतारने के लिए आप और डिटेल चाहते हैं तो ज़रूर हमसे संपर्क करें। माय नेम इज सीके। जल्दी ही मिलता हूँ दूसरी सीख लेके आपके साथ। तब तक उठो, लड़ो और जीतो। धन्यवाद।
Beneath the quiet wisdom of Jain philosophy, Mahavir carved the pathway into the infinite, teaching humanity how to unlock the hidden roots of number. His method for square and the cube roots were not a mere calculation. They were the keys of dimensions, volume, and the architecture of possibility. Centuries later, as the rocket rises and the colonies take shape beyond Earth, his legacy resurfaced in a dazzling reference. In 2026, when engineers measure domes on Mars or chart spacecraft through the gravitational wells, they echo the same roots Mahavir once revealed. From ancient manuscripts to cosmic frontiers, his mathematics became the bridge, binding the silence of past with the roar of the future and proving that the roots of numbers are also the roots of destiny. So let's find out more about this. In the quiet corridors of ancient India, centuries before the telescope pierced the heavens, Mahavir of the Jain tradition was unraveling mysteries of numbers. His genius lay not in the abstract speculations alone, but in the practical method, systematic way of calculating square and cube roots. So they were not trivial exercises. They were the foundation upon which the civilization could build a precise architecture, measure land, and navigate the complexities of trade. Yet, in 2026, his legacy stretched far beyond the earthbound. It reaches into the cosmos where the humanities now dream of settlement among the stars. The square root and the cube roots are more than a mathematical curiosities. They are the language of geometry. They are the key to understand the volume, trajectories, and the hidden harmonies of space. Mahavir's method, refined in his treatises, offered clarity in the age when the numbers are still being tamed. So today, as the spacecraft plot course through the gravitational wells, or the engineer design habitat on Mars or moons or of Jupiter's, the same principle echo. The calculating the cube root of the volume is no different in the essence when the determining the dimensions of a pressurized dome on Europa. The maths of Mahavir became the mathematics of survival. So, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you are tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, moving forward on this interesting details about Mahavir and his mathematics. So in 2026, space exploration is no longer a domain of few nations. It is a collective human endeavor. Private companies, international collaborations, and the AI-driven research coverage to push the boundaries. And at the heart of every trajectory, every orbital calculation lies the need to extract roots, to balance the equation, to tame the infinity into unusable form. So Mahavir's contribution reminds us that the tools we wield today are not inventions of present alone, but are inheritance from mind that saw the order in the chaos centuries ago. So consider the cube root, the silent architect of a three-dimensional understanding. For Mahavir, it was a way to measure the unseen, to give form to the intangible. For space settler, it is the measure of oxygen tanks and the volume of hydroponic chambers and the capacity of a spacecraft fuel cell. So without such calculation, the dreams of living beyond Earth collapse into fantasy. With them, it becomes the engineering. Mahavir's roots are the root of possibilities. But beyond the technical lies the philosophical also. Now, the Jain thought, with its emphasis on non-violence and multiplicity of viewpoints and the cosmic order, offers a moral compass for faring humanity. As we extend settlement into the alien world, the question is not only how we calculate, but how we coexist. So going forward, with coexist with each other. With ecosystem we may encounter with the responsibilities of stewardship. Mahavir's mathematics was born of worldview that sought harmony, and in 2026 harmony is vital as propulsions. The story of Mahavir is not confined to the dusty manuscript. It is alive. It is in the algorithm guiding the rovers, in the simulations of planetary bases, in the AI models of predicting cosmic weather. So his square roots and the cube roots are the silent equations behind every launch, every orbit, every settlement. So they remind us that the future is built on the past, that the stars we reach for are illuminated by the wisdom of those who first taught us to measure. So, as humanity prepares to plant its flag beneath the twin suns or the Martian soil, Mahavir's legacy whisper through the numbers that the roots are not merely calculation but pathways from earth to sky, from ancient thoughts to futuristic settlement. And in 2026, as rockets rise and the colonies take shape, we are not just exploring space, we are expanding the vision of Jain mathematician who saw in numbers the architecture of infinity, of destiny. So as humanity prepares to carve the settlements beyond Earth, Mahavir's legacy reminds us that the roots of numbers are also the roots of progress. His square and the cube roots method, born in ancient India, now echoes the calculation of spacecraft trajectories, the volume of Martian dooms, and the dimension of lunar habitat. In 2026, when the engineers and explorers measure the unknown, they are guided by the same principle that Mahavir once inscribed centuries ago. His mathematics is not confined to a manuscript, it is alive in every equation that carries us from Earth to the stars. And the Jain mathematician's vision become our compass, proving that from roots we rise and from numbers we build a future as vast as the cosmos itself. So we have come to the end of this video. We look forward for your comments on this information. Please like and subscribe our channel. Look forward in the next one. But before we end this video, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Long before silicon chips and rocket engines, India's rishis and scholars were sketching the blueprint of science in verses and in logic. From Pingla's binary rhythm to Aryabhat's celestial equation, their insight became the hidden code of modern progress. What we call algorithm, astronomy, rocket science today were once seeds planted in the fertile soil of ancient wisdom in India. To revisit their contribution, we should understand that it is not just a history, it is a reminder that the future was imagined centuries ago and that we are still living in their unfolding vision. So let's find out more. In the quiet corridor of ancient Indian thoughts, Pingla stands as a mathematician sage whose vision stretched far beyond his time. Living around the 3rd, 2nd century BC, he composed the Chandra Shastra, trusty in Sanskrit parody. At first glance, it was a study of poetic meters, but hidden within its verses lay a revolutionary idea. The earliest known description of binary numbers and combinational patterns. And in his hands, poetry became the mathematics, and the mathematics became a language of code. So Pingla's binary system was simple yet profound. So he represented sequences of long and short syllables and using marks and that correspond to what we call today 1 and 0. This was not merely a poetic device, it was a seed of digital logic. Centuries later, the same binary framework would become the foundation of computer science, coding language, and the algorithm that drives artificial intelligence. And in 2026, every smartphone, rocket guidance system, and the quantum processor hums with the rhythm of Pingla's insight. The universe can be described in two states, on and off, presence and absence. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. Now, moving forward, imagine the world without Pingla's contribution. Without binary, modern digital revolution would flatter. Computer might still exist, but their architecture would be clumsy, reliant on unwieldy numerical system. Rocket science, which depends on precise coding, error-free communication, would stumble. The artificial intelligence, which thrives on binary logic, would be delayed maybe by centuries. The absence of Pingla's vision would mean a world where the progress limps and instead of leaps. So where the dream of space exploration and the digital connectivity remain distant. So in 2026, his relevance is sharper than ever. As scientists push boundaries in quantum computing, they still rely on binary as the bedrock of classical computation. Rocket science pierce the sky, and their guidance system echoes Pingla's binary rhythms. As artificial intelligence learns, adapt, and evolve, it does so through the string of 1 and 0, the same language Pingla first sketched in the poetic form. His work reminds us that the most advanced technologies are often born from the simplest truth. Modern scientists owe him a gratitude. Every programmer writes code, every physicist modeling particles, and every engineer designing spacecrafts stand on the shoulders of Pingla. His binary vision transformed poetry into mathematics, mathematics into logic, and logic into digital universe. To thank him is to acknowledge that the progress is not only building in the labs or observatories, but also in the mind of sage who saw pattern in verses, numbers in rhythm. Pingla's legacy is reminded that the science is not bound to by any time. His binary system, conceived in an age of oral tradition, poetic recitation, and now drive the engines of rocket science and the algorithm of artificial intelligence. In every line of code, in every rocket launch, in every digital heartbeat of 2026, Pingla's voice resonates. He showed us that the simplicity is the key to infinity, and that form two symbol 1 and 0 the universe of knowledge can unfold. So, the legacy of India's ancient scientists is not confined to dusty manuscripts or forgotten verses. It is actually pulses through every circuit, every rocket launch, every equation written today. Without their vision, the binary code of Pingla, the celestial map of Aryabhat, or the medicinal insight of Charak, our modern world would be poorer. And their wisdom remind us that the progress is not born in isolation, but carried forward by generation who dare to imagine beyond their age. As we step into 2026 and beyond, every scientist, coder, explorer, actually owns a silent gratitude to these rishis of reason for their lit the first spark of discovery that now fuels the engines of science and rocket flights. And in their echoes, we find our future. So we have come to the end of this video. Look forward for your comment on this subject, and please like and subscribe our channel, and we'll see you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready, comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, Namaskaram. Let me ask you, is India becoming the world's next great tech superpower? In this video, we dive deep into the Amazon's monumental $48 billion investment, which is announced recently for India alone. Following a landmark meeting between Amazon CEO Andy Jassy and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the tech giant has officially committed to massive capital injection between 2026 and 2030. We will actually break down where this money is actually going and how much is going to be used for expanding the AWS services in India. Let's go. $48 billion. Let that number sink in for a second. It's not just a budget, it's a massive tectonic shift in the global tech landscape. Amazon has officially laid out a staggering $48 billion investment plan for India, focused squarely on the future of AI and cloud infrastructure. But why India and why now? Is this just about expanding data centers, or is there a bigger, deeper strategy at play? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on Amazon's massive roadmap to transform India into the world's next great AI powerhouse. We are going to break down where the money is going, what it means for the Indian economy, and most importantly, what it means for people like you and me. To understand the why, we have to look at the where. Over the last decade, India has evolved from being the back office of the world to becoming a global innovation hub. We are seeing a surge in startups, a massive pool of engineering talent, and digital first population that is hungry for AI solutions. Friends, if you have reached so far, please let me know the name of the city or country from where you are watching this video. Alright, now let's proceed further on our breakdown. Amazon, through its cloud arm AWS, already has footprint here, but this 48 billion commitment is a signal. It's Amazon saying that they aren't just here to do business, they are here to build the underlying architecture of India's digital future. This investment isn't just about throwing money at a problem, it's about infrastructure. It's about fiber optics, massive data centers, and the compute power required to run the next generation of generative AI models. If the AI is the engine of the 21st century, Amazon wants it to be the company building the fuel station all across Indian subcontinent. So let's get into the technicals here. Where does $48 billion go? A huge chunk of this is destined for the AWS infrastructure. We're talking about scaling up existing data centers in Mumbai and Hyderabad. If you have been following the tech space, you know that Hyderabad has quickly become a data center capital due to its affordable climate, power availability, and government support. But beyond the steel and concrete, it is about the AI stack. Amazon is deploying advanced hardware, custom chips, high speed networking gear to ensure that Indian startup can train LLM large language models locally. This is crucial. By keeping data sovereignty within the country, Amazon is making it easier for Indian fintechs, healthcare providers, and retail platforms to build AI applications that are compliant, fast, and secure. This isn't just about cloud storage anymore. It's about giving developers the tools to build the next unicorn company right here in India. Critics often ask, what does this mean for the average person? Well, the projections are massive. We are looking at a roadmap that aims to support millions of jobs, everything from direct employment at data centers to indirect roles in logistics, software development, and AI research. Let's talk about the small business angle. Amazon is integrating AI tools to help the Kirana stores, the local mom and pop shops, digitize their operations. Imagine an AI powered supply chain that predicts exactly what a small shop in a remote village need to stock, and when that is the kind of efficiency $48 billion can buy today, and that is what they're aiming to do. This aligns perfectly with India's goal of becoming a developed nation, which is, in other words, Viksit Bharat. By investing in this digital backbone, the Amazon is essentially lowering the barrier to entry for Indian entrepreneurs to compete on a global stage. Now, I want to keep it real with you. A $48 billion plan sounds perfect on paper, but the reality is complex. We are talking about massive energy consumption to power these AI servers. We're talking about strict data protection regulation in India that are constantly evolving. There is also intense competition. Google, Microsoft, and homegrown Indian players are all fighting for the same market share. Amazon isn't alone in this race. The success of the investment depends on how well Amazon navigates the local regulatory landscape and effectively, they can bridge the AI divide, ensuring that this tech-rich is not just the big in the big metros like Bengaluru or Hyderabad, but tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. At the end of the day, Amazon's $48 billion move is a long term play. They are betting that India's digital economy will not just grow, it will explode. If they get this right, they aren't just selling cloud services, they are becoming the invisible foundation of the entire nation's digital infrastructure. So, friends, what do you think? Is $48 billion enough to make India the global leader in AI, or there are hurdles we aren't talking about yet? Drop your comments below. I read each and every single one of you. You know that already. Don't forget to like this video if you learned something new, and hit that subscribe button to keep up with the future of the tech. I'm CK, and I will see you again in the next one. Hello, friends, and namaskaram. It is officially happening now. After months of intense speculation, Space has filed its S1 prospectus with the SEC, setting the stage for what is projected to be the largest initial public offering, which is also known as IPO, in the history of mankind. With a target valuation of up to 1.75 trillion, Elon Musk's space giant is ready to hit the Nasdaq under the ticker symbol SPCX. In this video, therefore, we break down everything you need to know about the upcoming SpaceX IPO, including the critical dates you need to mark on your calendar and how retail investors can potentially participate. Let's go. For years, it was just a rumor, a what if conversation on the message boards. But today, the conversation is over. SpaceX has finally filed its S1 prospectus with the SEC, and we are witnessing what is arguably the most significant capital market event of the decade. We're talking about a company that has already changed the physics of rockets and space travel, now aiming for a 1.75 trillion valuation on the Nasdaq. I'm talking about the SpaceX IPO, and the ticker symbol is SPCX. And this is expected to hit the market as early as June 12th, 2026. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. For a long time, Elon Musk was adamant SpaceX would stay private until we had a stable, functioning Mars colony. So what changed? The scale of ambition. Basically, SpaceX isn't just launching rockets anymore. It's an integrated powerhouse. Following the merger with XAI, the company is positioning itself as the backbone of space-based AI infrastructure. With a planned roadshow kicking off around June 4th, the company is looking to raise up to 75 billion to fuel its next phase of growth. So when you buy SPCX on the Nasdaq market, you aren't just buying rockets, you're buying a massive interconnected portfolio. What this portfolio contains? First, the Starlink, which is the crown jewel. It's profitable and currently drive massive chunk of company's revenue. Next, launch services, dominating the global market with securing crucial government and defense contract. Basically, if anybody has to send their spacecraft or satellite to space, SpaceX is one of the best viable option. Third is the Starship itself, the key to lowering cost and enabling future Moon and Mars mission. Therefore, Starship is a major product line from SpaceX. And lastly, the XAI integration, adding a layer of artificial intelligence that aims to build data centers in space. It isn't all smooth sailing. There is significant controversy regarding the governance structure. Reports indicate a dual class share structure where Class B shares, mostly held by Musk and the insiders, carry 10 votes per share, while the public Class A shares carry only 1 vote. The institutional investors have already voiced concerns about this level of concentration, noting that Musk will retain roughly 79% of the voting power. Add in the challenge of Musk juggling Tesla, X, Neuralink, and XAI, and you have some serious questions about where his focus truly lies. If you are a retail investor, this is what you have been waiting for. With the Nasdaq listing, direct exposure to the space economy is finally within reach. However, proceed with caution. IPOs, especially one with much hype, are notoriously volatile. Analysts are warning that you should look past the Musk factor and dive deep into their financials. Are you paying for the current reality, or are you paying for the next 20 years of projected growth? I mean, that's a very important question that every investor must contemplate. The countdown is officially on. Whether this becomes the IPO of the century or the cautionary tale, one thing is certain: the way we view the space, data, and the stock market is about to change forever. Keep an eye on the June 12th date, and as always, do your own due diligence before jumping into the stratosphere. My name is CK, and I will see you very soon in the next deep dive. Before I go today, however, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, Namaskara. In an era where the CEOs are obsessed with analytics, KPIs, and AI driven insights, there is a fundamental element of business and humanity itself that numbers simply cannot quantify. Therefore, in this video, we explore the profound leadership lessons that we learn from Bhagavad Gita. And we will actually discuss one particular verse which describes the soul as something amazing to witness yet impossible to fully decode, serves as a powerful metaphor for the CEO's blind spot. Let's go and discuss this further. As CEOs, we live by numbers. We are trained to believe that if we can measure it, we can manage it. We optimize our supply chain, we do A and B tests, and we also test our marketing. We use AI to predict market shifts. We pride ourselves on being data driven. But let me ask you a simple question. How often have you made a perfect decision based on all the available data only for it to, fail sometime later because of something which you missed and that was intangible? Maybe it was a culture issue, you didn't see it coming, or sudden shift in consumer feelings that no spreadsheet could capture. Today, I want to talk about your biggest professional blind spot. It is not a lack of data, it is the mistaken belief that data is the only reality. We are going to look at this through the lens of an ancient wisdom, a verse from Bhagavad Gita that suggests there are dimensions of reality that remains by definition beyond our decoding. So friends, if you have reached this far, please let us know from which city you have tuned in, and you know uh, which language you're watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. All right, let's look at the verse now. In this verse, the text describes the nature of the soul, which is the essence of a person or the inner spark, using three words. And the quote starts: for some the soul is amazing to see, for some it is perplexing to hear, and for some it is a mystery when described. No one has really been able to decode the soul as yet. And the quote close. Think about the word mystery. In business, we hate that word. We want clarity, we want an algorithm. But this ancient teaching reminds us that the most vital part of life, and by extension, the core of our business success, are inherently indecodable. You cannot put a human soul, a leader's intuition, or the spark of the innovation into a KPI report. So, why is this CEO's blind spot? Because when we try to decode our team as if they are the machines, we lose them completely. The engagement gap also can define this. You can track hours worked by your team, but you cannot track the soul of and the passion of your employees. And the third point could be the vision gap. The strategy is a data, vision is a mystery. People follow leaders who are comfortable with the mystery, not just leaders who are comfortable with Excel. So, when we focus only on the decodable, we become reactive. We ignore the pulse of our organization. We miss the amazing things happening right in front of us because we are too busy looking at the metrics of the past. So, friends, what does this mean for our daily routine? It doesn't mean throwing away your data, it means developing a different kind of executive presence. Embrace the unknown. When you face a crisis, don't just look for more data. Ask, what is the human element here that I'm not measuring? You can also look at, a method of cultivating intuitions. Intuition is just high speed pattern recognition filtered through experience. It is your internal vision of seeing the amazing. You could also consider, the space itself, which holds the mystery. If your team feels like they are line items, they feel they will perform like line item itself because that's what they believe. If you treat them as a part of a mystery that is still unfolding, that is unique and valuable. You tap into their true potential. The Bhagavad Gita tells us that the soul is a mystery, and it is beauty also. Maybe your business is too in a similar fashion. Stop trying to decode everything. Start embracing the mystery, and that is where the real growth will happen. So, friends, my name is CK. Thanks for watching. And if this shift your perspective today, subscribe for more ways to lead with both clarity and humanity. And I will catch you again in the next one.
Two dawns break across the alien sky, one blazing, one gentle, casting twin shadows that stretch into the unknown. What once lived only in the imagination of storytellers has now stepped into the telescope lens. 27 planet candidates orbiting not one but two suns. And these worlds, simmering like echoes of Star Wars Tatooine, are no longer fiction but cosmic invitation. They whisper of future double horizon, and where every sunrise is a duet and every settlement a testament to our courage to thrive in the extraordinary. So let's find out more about this. Imagine standing on alien soil, the horizon painted not by one dawn, but two. The first sun rises in a blaze of gold, and the second follows in a softer hue, casting shadow that dance in pair. And this is not the realm of myth or cinema. It is a reality hinted by astronomers who have uncovered 27 planet candidates orbiting binary stars. World of twin sun echoing the dreamscape of Star Wars Tatooine, now stepped into the realm of science. For humanity, these discoveries are more than curiosities. They are invitation. Each planet circling two suns represent a lab of survival, a crucible where the light, gravity, and the climate conspire in an unfamiliar way. The future of human settlement may well depend on our ability to adapt to such extreme. Binary system challenge our engineering, our biology, and our imagination. How do we build the home where the daylight never truly ends, or where the nights are fractured by competing lunar rhythms? How do the crop grow under two suns and their photosynthesis tuned in a spectrum broader than Earth? So these are the questions that are obstacle, and if you feel they're obstacle, that is up to you. But for scientists and somebody who is inclined to new discoveries, these questions are not obstacles, but they are seed of innovation. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine our channel. So moving forward, the dual suns offer paradoxical gift. On one hand, these gravitational tug-of-war can destabilize orbits, making climate volatile. On the other hand, their combined energy could sustain habitable zone wider than those around solitary stars. A planet warmed by two suns might host desert of dazzling brilliance, ocean simmering under perpetual twilights, or forests that evolve pigment unknown to Earth. For settlers, survival would mean harnessing these abundance. Solar array tuned to twin frequencies, agriculture adapted to relentless light, and architecture designed to shield the channel heat. So, but beyond the survival lies culture. Imagine the myth born under binary skies. Children raised to see two dawns as a symbol of resilience. Poet describing love as a dance of twin flames. And scientists charting calendar by rhythm of dual eclipse. So human settlement is not only about biology, it is about meaning. And these words promises meaning in abundance. The discovery of 27 such candidates is a reminder that our galaxy is not uniform. It is diverse, it is unpredictable and generous. Each binary system is a stage where the humanity might rehearse its next act. Colonies under twin suns could become outposts of resilience, teaching us to thrive in the condition once thought to be impossible. They could serve as a way station for a deeper journey, stepping stones and towards galactical citizenship. The future of the settlement among the twin suns is not guaranteed. It is earned. So, it actually will demand technologies that tame chaos, philosophies that embrace duality, and courage that sees opportunities in strangeness. So, yet the history shows that humanity thrives when they're challenged, and from desert to poles, from oceans to orbit, we have always actually turned the unfamiliar into the home. So, and as the telescope unveil these twin sun world, humanity stands at the threshold of possibilities. The double dawn are not just a spectacle of light. They are symbol of resilience, of future where we learn to thrive in the extraordinary. Each of these 27 planets is a reminder that the universe is vast, generous, and waiting to settle beneath to sun is to embrace duality, to craft a new myth, and to prove that our spirit is as boundless as the sky we seek. The twin horizon rise, and with them the promise of civilization, unafraid to call the impossible as home. So we have come to the end of this information, this video. Look forward for your comments, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe our channel, and see you in the next one. But before we end, few words from our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
Hello friends, the big question that we want to address today is that is your mind working for you or against you? This is a very age-old question many people have tried to answer, but today we are going to take a deep dive into Bhagavad Gita. And friends, as you know, Bhagavad Gita is a very ancient document. It's a very ancient manuscript. However, ancient or not, it offers a timeless wisdom for the modern CEOs and entrepreneurs. And in fact, this particular question is beautifully answered in one of the verse which every modern CEO and entrepreneur must hear and see. So let us take the deep dive and try to answer this very profound question, which is about your mind. Let's go.
Hello friends, welcome to Executive Learning Session. In today's high pressure corporate world, CEOs are often obsessed with the quarterly reports. But what if focusing less on the result actually would lead to better performance? That's a very big and profound question. Therefore, today in this video, we break down the profound leadership wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. And we will also explore how it serves as a blueprint for the modern mindful executives. We explore the concept of Karma Yogi, a leader who performs their duty with intense focus and excellence without becoming slave to the result. So, therefore, friends, stick around with this thought and let's explore this further. Picture this, it's 11 p.m. on a Sunday and you're starting working at a spreadsheet. You have got a quarterly board meeting in 48 hours. The numbers aren't where they need to be and your heart is racing. Your sleep is now non-existent and your identity, your very worth as a leader is tied entirely to the bottom right cell of the screen, right? This happens to everybody, isn't it? Well, we have been taught that the greatest leader who you must be result driven. We must obsess over KPIs, exit strategies, and stock prices. But here is a paradox: the more tightly you grip the result, the more likely you are likely to choke the process that creates it. Today, I want to share a piece of wisdom that is 7,000 years old, yet feels like it was written for this morning market volatility. It's from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, first verse of chapter 6. It is a verse that redefines what it means to be a yogi and by extension what it means to be a leader. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. Let's proceed further. So now let's look at the verse. Quote starts, a true yogi or a true renunciant is the one who performs his duty renouncing attachment to result and not one who abandons work or the sacrificial fire. Quote close. Now, when we hear the word yogi or renunciant, we think of someone sitting on a mountain far away from emails and supply chain issues. But Bhagwan Krishna says something radical here. He says the true yogi is not the one who quits. It's the one who stopped doing the work. It's also not that. In business context, Krishna is saying you don't have to quit your job to find peace. You don't have to stop being ambitious. The sacrificial fire for CEO is the office, the factory, and the boardroom. The distinction isn't whether you work, it's how you relate to outcome of what works, etc. So, what is the result paradox? So when we attach to the result, we operate from a place of fear. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of looking bad. When the brain is in the fear mode, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for high level strategy and innovation, shuts down. Attachment creates tunnel vision. You become so focused on the win that you miss the ethical red flags or the innovative pivot that could have saved your company. Attachment creates fragility. If your happiness depends on the green KPI, a red KPI will shatter your confidence completely. So, Gita suggests a better way. Perform your karma, the duty at hand. Imagine the professional athlete. If a golfer is thinking about a trophy while they are, mid swing, they will miss the shot. To win the trophy, they must forget the trophy exists and focus entirely on the mechanics of the swing. That is leading without attachment. The verse mentioned not abandoning the sacrificial fire. In ancient times, this was the literal fire of ritual. Today, for a leader, it is the energy of the action. Leading without attachment does not mean leading without excellence. In fact, it requires more excellence. When you aren't worried about how the result will make you look, you are free to be. There are several things you are free to be. First is bold, because you aren't afraid of the fallout. Second is the present, because you aren't living in the future quarter. And third is the objective, because you see the data for what it is, not what you want it to be. A true CEO, which is yogi, performs their duty because it is the right thing to do, not because it means something to, earn your bonus, etc. They treat their company as a sacrifice, a contribution to the world. So, how do we actually do this? How do we walk into the board meeting tomorrow and lead without the attachment? There are few ideas which I want to share with you. First is shift from what to how. Instead of asking, will they reach the target? Ask, are we executing this with the highest level of integrity and skill? If the process is perfect, the result is inevitable, and it's the inevitable byproduct. Second, the 5 minute de-tether. Before a high stake pitch, take 5 minutes to remind yourself, I have a right to work but not to the fruits. Tell yourself that your value as a human being is independent of this deal. Watch how much more charismatic and calm you would become before you get into the meeting. Now, the third idea is reward effort, not just outcome. So, as a leader, stop only celebrating the wins, start celebrating the karma as well. The disciplined, high quality effort, even when it doesn't lead to a win, this builds a culture of psychological safety. So, Bhagavad Gita isn't asking you to be less ambitious. In fact, it is asking you to be freer. So, when you stop being a slave to the result, you become master of your actions. You will become unshakable executive. You will still show up and you still, the light of fire, and you still do the work, but you do it with a smile, knowing that while you cannot control the wind, you can always control how you set your sail. So, friends, what do you think? Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining live. Let's go back to the fire and do the work. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send it across. Before I wind up this session, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Friends, is a new trade war which is dubbed as 2.0 beginning? As the US radically rewrites its global tariff rules, India is launching a high stake diplomatic mission to Washington, D.C. And therefore, in this video, we dive deep into why an Indian delegation led by Chief Negotiator Mr. Darpan Jain is rushing to US capital on April 20th, 2026 to save $1 billion trade deal. So, what is happening now? Well, the trade landscape between the world's two largest democracies has shifted overnight following a landmark US Supreme Court ruling that limited the president's emergency tariff powers. The Trump administration has introduced a new 10 to 15% global surcharge under Section 122 of the Trade Act. Now, this move has effectively reset the 18% tariff framework India and US agreed upon during the early February 2026. Now, India is fighting to maintain its competitive edge as other global players face the same flat rate. Let us discuss this further. On February 7th, 2026, the world thought the trade war between India and the US was finally over. Headlines around the globe announced the breakthrough. Washington would slash tariff on Indian goods to be a flat 18%, and in exchange the trade king and the Make in India giant would enter a new era of cooperation. But in the global politics, nothing is final until the ink is dry. Fast forward to today, that 18% deal, it's practically on the paper shredder right now. Why? Because of the US Supreme Court just dropped a legal bombshell that stripped the president of his emergency tariff powers. In response, the Washington has hit the reset button, rewriting the global trade playbook with a brand new 10% global surcharge. So friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine reach of our channel. Alright, let's proceed further. Now, as you watch this, a high-level Indian delegation led by Chief Negotiator Mr. Darpan Jain is on a plane to Washington, D.C. They would land on April 20th, and their mission would be to save India's 87 billion export market from being swallowed by a trade war 2.0. To understand why India is rushing to DC, we have to look at what happened in the courts. For over a year, the Trump administration used the International Emergency Economic Power Act (IEEPA) to slap reciprocal tariffs on countries including India. But on February 20th, 2026, the US Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that the president cannot use this act to raise revenue generating tariffs. It was a massive rebuke of the executive power. Overnight, the legal foundation for the India-US deal, the one that promised an 18% rates, evaporated. The administration had to halt all IEEPA collections. But if you think this means free trade is back, think again. The administration immediately pivoted to Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974. This is a global surcharge of 10% on all imports from all countries to address international payment problems. It's valid for 150 days. You might be asking, wait, if the new US tariff is only 10%, isn't that better for India than 18% they agreed to in February? So on paper, yes, but in the world of trade, it is all about comparative advantages. Under the old deal, India was going to pay 18% while its competitor like China or Vietnam might have been paying 25% or even 50% in certain cases. The gap made Indian goods cheaper. But under the new Section 122, everyone pays 10%. Suddenly, India loses its special edge. Furthermore, there is the Section 301 threat. While the 10% global tariff is a temporary fix, the US Trade Representative USTR has launched a fresh investigation into 16 economies, including India. These probes are looking into forced labor and unfair practices. If these investigations go south, India could face even higher punitive tariffs on top of the 10%. And this is why Mr. Darpan Jain and his team are in Washington this week. They aren't just there for coffee, they are there to finalize the bilateral trade agreement and the legal text. And here are the three main fires they need to put out. First is the solar crisis. The Indian solar module exports to US have already crashed by 35% this year due to fluctuating duties. India needs a stable long-term rate to protect its growing green energy industry. Number two, the Russian oil factor. The US previously hit India with punitive duties because of the India's purchase of Russian oil. While some of those rolled back in February, the new section, which is 301 probe, could bring them back under a different name. And third is the big ticket energy deal. So in exchange for lower tariff, India is looking at buying massive amount of US LNG and nuclear tech. This energy for export swaps is the heart of the deal. India isn't just waiting on the Americans, while DC talks are happening, Commerce Secretary Mr. Rajesh Agarwal has confirmed the 2026 roadmap. And it's very interesting. First is the India UK FTA, expected to go live in May 2026. Second is the India New Zealand FTA, set to be signed in April, especially on April 27. Third is the EU and Oman FTA. Negotiations are in full swing and final stages. So India is essentially telling Washington, we want to be your partner, but we aren't putting all our eggs in one basket. With the trade deficit between the two nations narrowing down to 34 billion from 40 billion last year, India has some leverage, but the US is playing the hardball. The next 72 hours in Washington will determine the future of your wallet as well as my wallet. From the price of iPhone, even though it is assembled in India, to the cost of Indian textiles and pharma in the US, everything is on the line. Is this the start of a trade war 2.0, or it is just growing pain of a new America first architecture? One thing is certain, the era of easy, predictable global trade is over. So friends, what do you think? Should India stand its own ground, or should it offer more concessions to secure the US market? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into shifting world of global power. Thank you for joining live. Thank you for watching. Before I wind up this session, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Stop. Before you hit the delete channel button or give up on your next upload, you need to watch this. Most creators quit YouTube exactly 3 feet from the gold. They see flat lines in their analytics and assume they are failing. But in reality, they are simply in a ghost phase, the period where the algorithm tests your consistency and your skills are being sharpened for the big break. In this video, we dive deep into the psychology of the content creation and why zero views might actually be your biggest competitive advantage. How? Let us discuss this further. You are checking your phone again. It's been 3 hours since you uploaded your latest video and the one you spent all weekend editing. You have refreshed the studio app 10 times and the number hasn't budged. 4 views, 2 of which were probably you. The thought starts creeping in. Is this even worth it? You see other creators blowing up overnight and you feel like you are shouting into a void. You are ready already to quit, but before you hit that delete channel button, I need you to understand one thing. You aren't failing. You are actually in the most important phase of your journey. Most creators quit exactly 3 feet from the goal. Today I'm going to show you why nobody is watching is actually your secret weapon and why your biggest breakthrough is like hidden right behind the urge to give up. Let's dive in. But before, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will help us determine the reach of our channel. I would also know who's watching and who's not. Alright, let's proceed further. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is the algorithm. We talk about it like it's a sentient being that hates us. It doesn't, but it's a system built on trust. When you are a new creator or you're trying to pivot, you enter what I call the ghost phase. Think about it. Why would YouTube push your content to millions of people if you are only person you can stay consistent for only 2 weeks? The algorithm is testing two things, your competence and your consistency. During this ghost phase, you have a massive advantage that no big creator has, which is freedom to fail. When nobody is watching, you can experiment, you can find your voice, you can mess up the lighting, and you can make terrible jokes without hundreds and thousands of people judging you. This is your training ground. You are not being ignored, you are being incubated. This is the concept from the book Atomic Habits called the plateau of latent potential. We expect progress to be in a straight line up. We think if I put in X amount of work, I should see X amount of views. But the growth on YouTube is exponential, not linear. You spend months, maybe years working in the valley of disappointment, and this is where you are putting in the work, but the result aren't showing yet. You are building the foundation. It's like bamboo tree. It grows underground for 5 years, developing a massive root system, and then it shoots up 80 feet in 6 weeks. So if you quit during the root building phase, the tree will never grow. Every video you make into a flop is actually a root. It's a data point. It's a lesson. It's one step closer to the 80-foot breakthrough. So why do most creators quit right before they win? It's because of the psychological phenomena called cognitive friction. The effort required to make a video feels much higher than the reward of 10 views. To survive this, you have to shift your win condition. If your win condition is to get 1000 views, you get 50, you feel like as if you have lost it. You feel defeated. But if you win condition is like getting 1% better at color grading or write a more compelling hook, or you do that, you have won already, right? I mean, if you do all of these core competencies, regardless of the view counts, don't you think so? Winning on YouTube is a war of attrition. The pros aren't necessarily the most talented people on the platform. They are the one who refuse to go away. They stayed in the game long enough for the luck to find them. Because on YouTube, luck is just where the preparation meets the long enough timeline. Now, as a disclaimer, I'm not saying that you should keep doing exactly the same thing if it is not working. There is a difference between quitting and pivoting. If you have made 50 videos and they all have 0 views, don't quit YouTube. Change your strategy. Maybe your thumbnails are weak. Maybe your intros are too slow. Use the silence to audit yourself. When nobody is watching, you have the lowest stakes possible to reinvent yourself. Don't you think so? So ask yourself, am I making content for me, or am I making content that solves a problem or provide value for someone else? Once you align your passion with audience's need, the nobody watching problems start to disappear. The hardest part of YouTube isn't the editing or the SEO. It is the mental game. It is showing up on Tuesday morning to film a video when your last 3 uploads tanked. But remember this, every major creator you admire today, from Mr. Beast to MKBHD, had a period where they were talking, making videos, but generating zero interest, 0 views. They felt exactly how you feel right now. The only difference between them and millions of abandoned channels is that they decided to post one more time. Your breakout video is already in your head. It's coming. It's going to come. Definitely. But you can't find it cannot find you if you weren't there to upload it, right? So don't quit. Just get 1% better today. So friends, what do you think? If you have any question or if you want to know more, please leave a comment below and I will see you again in the next one. Before I take your leave, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with 2 microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends and namaskaram. What if the secret to stress-free leadership and the ultimate corporate alignment was written thousands of years ago? Therefore, in this video, we break down knowledge mentioned in Bhagavad Gita and translate its timeless wisdom into actionable strategies for the modern business leaders, CEOs, and executives. We will discover how shifting your mindset from ownership to offerings can radically transform your corporate strategy, eliminate executive burnout, and drive purposeful leadership. Whether you are managing a startup or leading a global corporation, learning how to detach from the outcome while elevating daily execution is the ultimate competitive advantage. Let's go. Every year, hundreds of books are published on corporate leadership. We are told to focus on KPIs, OKRs, quarterly earnings, and agile scaling. We buy into the myth that a great CEO is a master controller, someone who can bend the market, the competition, and their teams to their absolute will. But if you look closely behind the glass walls of the modern corner office, you will find a hidden epidemic: executive burnout. And is it an all time high right now? The pressure to constantly deliver results create a toxic cycle of anxiety, fear of failure, and emotional exhaustion. Why? Because the modern business teaches us that we are the sole owner of our outcomes. When the company wins, our ego spikes. When it fails, our identity shatters. What if the antidote to this brutal cycle isn't another management framework? What if the key to ultimate executive alignment and the true peace of mind was written over thousands of years ago on a battlefield? Today we are looking at a single verse from the ancient text, the Bhagavad Gita, which is chapter 9 and verse 27. It offers radical paradigm shift, and it basically offers a new kind of blueprint that can upgrade a CEO's internal operating system from stress controller to an aligned, unstoppable visionary. So, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will determine the reach of our channel. Alright, let's move ahead. So, in this chapter, Bhagwan Krishna is speaking to Arjun, a warrior prince facing an overwhelming crisis of duty and identity. In verse 27, Krishna gives him a deceptively simple directive, and the quote starts: whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give in charity, and whatever austerity you can perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering unto me. And the quote close. Now, at a glance, a corporate executive might look at this and think, this is a religious text about devotion. What does this have to do with my Q3 strategy or managing a multi-million dollar budget? The answer is everything. Let's break down the language of this verse through the lens of the modern leadership. Bhagwan Krishna outlines 5 years of life, and when you map them into life of a CEO, a spectacular framework emerges. So, whatever you do, the first phrase, this is your core execution. The emails you send, the board meetings you chair, the strategic pivots you execute, etc. Next, whatever you eat. This represents what you consume, not just food, but data, media, energy that you absorb and sustain yourself. Next, whatever you offer. This is your sacrifices. The late night, the hard work, the creative energy you pour into your enterprise, etc. Next, whatever you give in charity. This is your philanthropy, your corporate social responsibility, and how you take care of your stakeholders and employees. Next, whatever austerity you perform. These are your challenges and disciplines. Firing a toxic executive, managing a market downturn, or making a difficult ethical decision. The verse ends with a golden rule: do it as an offering to me. The traditional CEO operates from an ownership mindset. They believe this is my company, these are my matrices, this is my legacy, and I am responsible for this final result. While this sounds accountable, it is psychologically fragile. When you believe your own outcome, you tie yourself and your worth to the variables you cannot fully control, like inflation, geopolitical shifts, or sudden market disruptions. The Gita introduces the offering mindset. It asks the leader to shift from being owner to being the custodian or the steward. So, when you treat your daily corporate duties as an offering to a higher power, whether you define that as a divine, the universe, or transcendent higher purpose, the entire nature of your work changes. Think about how you behave when you prepare a gift or an offering for someone you deeply respect. You don't cut corners, you don't do a sloppy work, you bring your absolute best, you bring perfection. Therefore, the offering mindset does not make a CEO lazy or passive. In fact, it drives a higher standard of excellence. You build the best product not out of greed or for profit, but because your work is highly devoted. You treat your employees with profound respect because managing them is a sacred duty entrusted to you. So, practically speaking, what happens when a CEO achieves this ultimate alignment? These are three immediate breakthroughs that you can experience. First, immunity to fear and anxiety. When a product launch fails or a funding round fails through an owner spiral into a panic. But an aligned leader says, I put my best intelligence, ethics, and effort into this as an offering. The outcome is not in my hand. This detachment gives you a quite unshakable calm that allows you to pivot rationally while your competitors are panicking. Second, radical ethical clarity. So, if your work is an offering to the divine, you cannot offer something tainted by corruption, deceit, or exploitation. It forces a CEO to naturally align with conscious capitalism. Success is no longer measured solely by the balance sheet, but by the integrity of the process. Third, magnetic leadership. Employees can sense when a CEO is driven purely by ego and personal net worth versus when they are driven by a higher calling. When you lead from a place of offerings, your leadership becomes selfless. That selflessness builds deep, unbreakable trust across your entire organization. So, as we close today, I want to leave you with practical challenges. You don't have to change your corporate structure to implement chapter 9, verse 27. You only have to change your internal intent. Tomorrow morning, before you open your laptop, before you look at your phone, sit at your desk for just 60 seconds. Take a deep breath. Look at your schedule for the day and mentally say this. Every decision I make, every email I write, every conflict I resolve today, I will do it to the absolute best of my ability and I offer it up to the higher good. Take off the heavy, suffocating crown of being the sole controller of your business. Step into your true role as an aligned leader, because when your daily execution meets a timeless vision, you don't just build a successful company, you build a lasting legacy, and you will find peace in the process. So friends, thanks for watching. If this perspective resonated with you, please hit that like button, share this with your fellow leaders who need to hear it, and subscribe for more deep dive into timeless wisdom for the modern life. Lead with purpose, excel with detachment, and friends, I will see you in the next one. Before I leave you in this video, a word about our affiliate partner. Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep. in your studio. And also it has a civil base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video. Hello friends, Namaskaram. Let me ask you, are you constantly chasing the next quarterly result at the expense of long-term sustainable growth? If yes, then you have reached the right place. Because in this video, we dive deep into this profound question and we will take help from Bhagavad Gita, a timeless piece of wisdom that offers a radical strategy for the modern CEO. This verse, which we are going to discuss today, is going to change your perspective and inculcate your buddhi yoga as a competitive advantage. Let's go and explore this further. Friends, if you are a CEO, a founder, or a leader, you know the feeling. It is the late Sunday night email check. It's the anxiety before the quarterly earning call. It is the constant gaining pressure to hit the next milestone, to land the next client, to inflate the valuation of another 10%. You know, we call this ambition, we call it growth. But if we are being honest with ourselves, often it is just a form of a fear. We are living in an era of hyper acceleration. The market demands results and it demands them now. But here is the paradox that most leaders ignore. The more you obsess over the result, the fruit of your action, the more likely you are to compromise the very strategy required to achieve it. Today, we are going to look at the piece of the ancient wisdom from Bhagavad Gita, specifically chapter 2, verse 49, that offers a counterintuitive, radical strategy for modern leadership. It's a guide to longevity, sanity, and ultimately better performance. So, friends, if you have reached so far, please let me know the name of your city or a country from where you are, tuned in and watching this video. All right, let's proceed further. Let's look at the verse, chapter 2, verse 49, and the quote start. Choose to act on the basis of disciplined intelligence rather than desire for enjoyment. Only the miserly cling to the fruit of action, O conqueror of wealth. And the quote close. So I want you to focus on the phrase, only the miserly cling to the fruit of action. In the corporate world, we usually think of a miser as someone who, hoard money. But here is the Gita that is pointing to a psychological state. When you are miser in business, you are holding the outcome in your mind. You are so attached to the bonus, stock prices, or the public perception of success that you become terrified of any action that might threaten that result. So when you become attached to the fruit, the result you stop, you stop being effective as a strategist. You become reactionary. You start making short-term decisions that hurt the long-term health of the organization just to hit a quarterly target. You are no longer leading, you are gambling. So, what is the alternative? The verse offers a solution, which is buddhi yoga or disciplined intelligence. The disciplined intelligence is the ability to decouple your identity from the outcome. It's not about being indifferent. It's not about saying, I don't care if the company fails. It's exactly the opposite. It is the ability to throw 100% of your energy, your passion, your talent into the work itself, into the product design, the team culture, the client relationship, while remaining mentally detached from whether the specific quarterly number hits the target or not. Well, why? Because you are detached from the fruit. You are free to make the right decisions, not the safe decisions. Imagine you are the CEO, you have two options. Cut R&D funding to boost the quarter's profits or maintain R&D to ensure product remains market leading for the next 5 years. So if you are a miserly clinging to the fruits of action, you will cut R&D every single time. You choose the short-term sugar rush for better quarterly report. If you possess disciplined intelligence, you look at the strategy objectively. You do what the business require for the long haul and you stay on the course. This is not just a philosophy, this is the competitive advantage. When you act without attachment to the results, you lower your cholesterol levels, you reduce your anxiety that leads to burnout. You create psychological safety, not for your teams because you aren't lashing out with things don't go according to the perfect linear plan. In a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world that we call the VUCA environment, the CEO is unattached to outcome is the most dangerous person in the room. Why? Because they are the only one who can see reality as it is, not as they need it to be satisfy their ego. So when you stop chasing the result, you ironically start producing better ones. Think about the greatest leader in history. They weren't focused on the applause. They were focused on the mission. They were focused on dharma, the duty of the role. When you focus on the quality of your input, the output becomes naturally a byproduct, not a source of the stress. So, friends, how do you apply this? How do you move from miserly CEO to conqueror CEO? First, there are a few things you must do, starting with goal audit. Look at your current KPI. Ask yourself, am I pursuing this because it's fundamentally vital for our mission? Or because I'm afraid of how the board or the market will judge me if I miss it? Second, embrace the process orientation. In your next leadership meeting, stop talking about the quarterly target for 5 minutes. Talk about the quality of the current process. Is your team working with integrity? Is your product solving, is solving a real life problem? Is the process is excellent? The result will follow. If the process is broken, no amount of chasing will save you or your company. Now, third, practice radical acceptance. When a result is not what you wanted, practice pausing. Detach from for a moment. Analyze what went wrong in the strategy, not just the frustration of the outcome. This is how you develop the disciplined intelligence that is mentioned in chapter 2, verse 49. The CEO longevity is not about surviving the quarter, it's about building a legacy that survives the decade. The Gita reminds us to be a conqueror, not a miser. Conquer is the urge to trade your long-term vision for short-term gain. Conquer the fear of unknown by anchoring yourself in disciplined intelligence. Stop chasing results. Start perfecting your actions. So, friends, if you found this breakdown helpful, share it with your colleagues who is feeling the weight of the quarterly grind. And remember, true leadership isn't found in the fruit you harvest. It's found in the seed you plant with intelligence and integrity. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to send it across. And I will catch you again in the next one.
The idea of robots living alongside us has been belonged to the realm of science fiction. Yet today it is edging into the reality. With the debut of AI-powered robot designed specially for home use, the boundary between futuristic imagination and everyday life is dissolving. These machines are no longer confined to factory floors or research labs. They are stepping into kitchen, living room, bedroom, promising to transform the domestic routine. The debut of AI robots for domestic use is not just a technological milestone, it is a cultural one also. It sparks curiosity, inspires hope, ignites debate. So, are we welcoming helpful assistants into our lives or surveillance device disguised as a companion? The answer may shape not only the future of our household but also the broader relationship between human and intelligent machine. Artificial intelligence has begun to step out of the research lab and corporate offices into the most intimate of the space, our home. So debut of AI powered domestic robots marks a turning point in consumer technology, one that blends convenience with controversy. So these machines are designed to handle everyday tasks, tidying rooms, monitoring energy use, assisting with cooking, or even offering companionship. And this appeal lies in the promise of freeing up time, reducing household stress, and creating a seamless, smart living environment. For many consumers, the idea of robot that can anticipate the need and act autonomously and feel natural is the next step after smart speakers and connected appliances. Yet, that excitement is tempered by uneasy, and that is privacy debate over flared almost immediately. Unlike a vacuum robot that simply mop your floor plans, and these new AI robots can equipped with advanced sensory cameras, microphones. So they don't just clean, they observe, interpret, and learn. That means that they are constantly collecting data from household routine, personal habits, even private conversations. So for some, this feels like inviting a surveillance device into the living room. The questions become: who owns that data and how securely is it stored? So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, the consumer interest is undeniable. Early demonstrations have drawn crowds, and pre-order suggests a strong demand. Families imagine robot that can help elderly relatives, parents, and vision assistants with the childcare. And the professionals see value in delegating some routine work. So, but alongside with enthusiasm, the critics warn of the risk of dependency and erosion of boundaries. So, if a robot can recognize emotions, respond to the stress, and adapt to the personal preferences, does it cross into the territories of replacing human interaction? So, and if the companies monetize the insight gathered from these robots, does the home cease to be a private sanctuary? So this tension between innovation and intrusion defines the current debate. On one hand, AI robot for home use could actually revolutionize the domestic life. It can provide easiness in the domestic life, making home safer, more efficient, and more responsive. On the other hand, they raise profound ethical questions about autonomy, consent, and surveillance. The debut of these robots is not just a technological milestone, it is a cultural one too. It actually forces society to grapple with what we value more: convenience or privacy, automation or intimacy. For now, the spotlight remains on consumer curiosity. The allure of futuristic living is strong, and many are eager to experiment. But as adoption spread, the conversation will inevitably shift from novelty to accountability. The home, once the most private space, is becoming the next frontier for AI, and how we navigate this frontier will shape not only our domestic life but also our broader relationship with technology. The arrival of AI robots in our home is more than a technical upgrade. It is definitely, as we are discussing, cultural shift. These machines promise efficiency, they also promise safety, and even the companionship, yet they are that is a challenge of our notion of privacy, intimacy within the household. So, as consumer embrace this, and society must also confront the deeper questions: how much of our personal lives are we willing to share with the machines, and who ultimately control that information? So, so that is that whether they become a trusted helper or controversial intruders will depend only on the technological itself, but also value we choose to uphold as we invite artificial intelligence into our most private corners of our lives. So we have come to the end. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe our channel, and see you in the next one. But before we close this live streaming, few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
the vast expanse of India's mythological and spiritual heritage, Jamadagni, or the revered Saptarishi, he was not confined to meditation alone. His life was a rare fusion of scholarship and martial mastery. Jamadagni's household was a sanctuary of Vedic learning where the sacred hymns were preserved, transmitted, yet it was also a place where the science of weaponry, the art of warfare were refined into discipline of dharma, that is righteousness. His bow, saranga, and his knowledge of Dhanur Veda symbolize the union of intellect and arm, teaching the weapon are not instrument of conquest but the guardian of righteousness. Jamadagni's life was not merely about personal achievement, it was about shaping the legacy that would endure through his son Parshuram, the warrior sage who carried forward his father's vision of dharma defended by strength. Thus, Jamadagni stands at the crossroad of meditation and battlefield, of the scholarship and strategy, reminding us that the true greatness lies in the harmonizing wisdom with power. In the tapestry of ancient Indian tradition, Jamadagni stands as a figure of profound duality. At once a sage immersed in spiritual wisdom, and the other part he is the master of martial science. His life reflects the delicate balance between pursuit of knowledge and the necessity of defense, between the serenity of meditation and the discipline of warfare. Jamadagni's contribution to the science of weaponry and the art of warfare are legendary. As a descendant of great sage Bhrigu, he inherited not only the spiritual insight but also a deep understanding of martial techniques. Ancient texts describe him as a custodian of Dhanur Veda, a branch of knowledge that encompass the use of bow, arrow, and divine weapons. His bow, saranga, became the symbol of his mastery, later passed on to his son Parshuram, who wielded it into a campaign against the Kshatriyas. Jamadagni's teaching emphasized discipline, precision, and the ethical use of force that is also applies on warfare. It was not just for the conquest, but for the protection of dharma, which is righteousness. In this way, he elevated martial science into a sacred art and inseparable from moral responsibility. The bow of dharma can be seen in the modern cybersecurity and AI governance. Our digital weapon, algorithms, data, and code must be aimed at protecting truth, justice, and not the exploitation. The legacy reminds us that the technology is powerful only when aligned with the ethical purpose. So if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in and in which language you are watching this video. This will determine the reach of our channel. So going forward, yet the Jamadagni was not merely a warrior sage. His spiritual and scholarly contribution are equally profound. As one of the world's revered Saptarishi, he played a vital role in preserving and transmitting the Vedic knowledge. His devotion to meditation, or spirituality made him a beacon of righteousness. His household became the center of learning. Legend recounts his ability to command nature itself, receiving boons from Surya, the sun god, and harnessing the divine cow, Kamadhenu, which symbolize abundance and substance. These stories reflect his stature as a sage who could bridge the material and the spiritual, guided by, and definitely that will help in guiding humanity towards balance. This was very important in the context of making the balance. If we think deeper and find out in 2026, that is actually more relevant. This continuity reflects how knowledge passes from one generation to the next, and today's AI pioneering inherit both innovation and responsibility. The art of war in 2026 is not just about weapon, but about navigating global conflict in cyber space, in trade wars, and AI ethics. Jamaat Agni's story reminds us that every new generation must weld its tool with wisdom. The tragedy of Jamadagni's death, slain by the men of King Kartivirya Arjun for refusing to surrender Kamdhenu, underscores the eternal tension between the spiritual authority and the worldly power. His martyrdom ignited Pashuram's vow to rid the earth of oppressive rulers, ensuring that Jamadagni's legacy lived on not only in a scholarship but also in action. Through his son, his teaching on weaponry, dharma were carried forward, shaping one of the most dramatic cycles in Hindu mythology. So Jamaat Agni's life thus embodies a rare synthesis, the science of warfare tempered by spiritual wisdom. He demonstrated that true mastery of arms must be guided by restraint, ethics, and devotion to higher principle. His scholarly contribution ensured the continuity of Vedic tradition, while his martial legacy empowered future generation to defend righteousness. And him, the sage and the warrior, were not opposite, but it is kind of a two-face of one life dedicated to preservation of dharma, that is righteousness. Now, if we see in the context of 2026, this mirrors actually how nations and corporations debate the ethical use of AI autonomous weapon. Just as Jamadagni insisted on restraining, today's leaders grappled with ensuring AI-driven defense system remain accountable to human values. So Jamadagni's life is a reminder that the pursuit of wisdom and the mastery of strength are not opposite paths, but a complementary one. As sage, he safeguarded the Vedic tradition, nurtured the scholarship and the spiritual discipline. As a master of weaponry, he elevated warfare into a sacred science, teaching that arms must serve the righteousness rather than ambition. His martyrdom at the hand of worldly power underscores the kind of softness of spiritual authority. Yet, through Parshuram, his legacy endured and ensured that righteousness would always find a defender. So in Jamadagnis, we see the rare union of scholar, warrior, and meditation, and of course the meditation and the battlefield. His contribution continues to inspire, remind us that the true greatness lies not in domination, but in harmonizing knowledge with the responsibility and strength with virtue. So Jamadagni's contribution lies in his rare synthesis, and also it also reminds us, his story continues to inspire us, remind us that wisdom, strength must walk hand in hand. So please send your comments and subscribe our channel for more insight into Indian mythology and spirituality. See you in the next one. But before we close this live stream, a few words about our affiliate partner.
Stop settling for a good enough video. If your built-in laptop camera looks like a grainy mess, it is time for an upgrade. Want to instantly level up your video presence? I like to present the Lenovo Performance FHD webcam. This is a game changer for your desktop setup. Technically, this is packed. It has a very sensitive RGB sensor, very crisp photographs it takes. Also comes with two microphones on board, which helps you to record very clear voice in stereophonic format. And these microphones are very sensitive. You can actually move away from the camera up to 2 meters, and these microphones will pick up your voice without any problem. This is a very strong piece. This is very sturdy. Comes with tripod ready. Comes with a very long leash, so it gives you a lot of flexibility to place the webcam wherever you want to keep in your studio. And also it has a swivel base, which is also very handy. So if you want to basically level up your game and you want to pick up this camera at a discount, please click on the link here or scan the QR code. Now let's get back to our video.
In 1993, India's ambition soared beyond the horizon as INSET 2B took flight from French Guiana. More than a satellite, it was a bold declaration of self reliance, an indigenous marvel designed to carry voices, images, warnings across the continent. From Earth to orbit, a bridge was spun, connecting millions beneath the sun. So let's find out more about this. In the summer of 1993, India took another decisive step into the skies with the launch of INSET 2B, the nation's second fully indigenous satellite in the INSET 2 series. Riding abroad on a Ariane A rocket from French Guiana, the satellite was more than just a machine. It was a symbol of India's growing confidence in space technology. Built by ISRO, INSET 2B carries advanced communication transponders and meteorological instrument that promises to knit the country closer together from bustling cities to a remote village. For millions of households, the satellite meant the clearer television broadcast and expanded coverage of Doordarshan channels. From business to government agencies, it offered improved telecommunication and data services at the time when India was opening its economy to the world. And for the farmers and the coastal communities, its very high resolution radio meter became a vital tool, tracking cyclones, weather patterns with unprecedented accuracy, helping to save lives and livelihoods. INSET 2B was not just a technical achievement, it was a cultural milestone. It embodies India's ambition to be self-reliant in satellite technology, reducing dependency on foreign systems and asserting its place in the global space community. Operating successfully for nearly a decade, the satellite paved the way for the successor like INSET 2C and INSET 2D, each building on the foundation which is laid here at this launch. So, looking back, the launch of INSET 2B stands as the chapter in India's largest narrative of transformation, a nation harnessing the power of the sky to connect its people and safeguard its environment and project its scientific progress. It was in every sense, an eye in the sky, watchful, resourceful, and deeply woven into the stories of India's modernization. So, friends, if you have reached this far, please inform us from which city you have tuned in. This will help us to determine the reach of our channel. So, now let's continue with our discussion. So, INSET 2B was more than a technological achievement. It was a turning point in India's journey towards self reliance in space. So, by carrying voices across distances, bringing television into home, watching over the skies for the storms, and it became a silent guardian of the progress. For nearly a decade, it served faithfully, proving that India could not only dream of stars but also build the bridges to reach them. It is a story of modern India. INSET 2B remains a shining symbol, an orbiting testament to the innovation, resilience, and the nation's determination to connect its people under one sky. So, we have come to the end of this beautiful discussion about space progress. Please like and subscribe our channel, and we look forward for your comments on this topic. So, see you very soon in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye bye.